Welcome to the unconventional episode of my Rich and Femininity podcast. Today's story time was heavily influenced by a viral TikTok that I had from over a year ago that I still get comments on till today. And I have had so many different questions and people still hitting me up. A lot of questions, just where have I been this past year and some change? I haven't been as active on social media as I used to be prior. All that's going to change now. But that's just what inspired me to do the story time. This is the intro to the story time. And to watch the story time behind how I was able to reach a next level of success, money wise, social media followers, opportunities, and so on. But at what price? That's what the story time is about. And of course, now that it's a year and something later, I can tell you guys, the overall outcome of what happened. So a big part of the price was me actually living what I would call more like a Mean Girls movie in real life. And I didn't speak to anybody about this for so long. And that's also why I wasn't on social media as active as I used to be, because it was a lot of recovery from that huge traumatic event in my life. And this person that I had to deal with was definitely a person that was sent from the man downstairs. This person was sent into my life while I was very vulnerable and lonely, and I really wanted someone there throughout my journey. And that's the price that I had to pay, was how bad did I really want this and to keep this. And I feel like I fell for the sin of greed. And I genuinely thought that the relationship with this person was going to be a nice and beautiful thing. But as things spiraled, I still had some type of hope, but at the end, it just kept getting worse and worse. I was literally this girl's punching bag, okay? So think about a Mean Girls movie where the girl does like a lot of things maliciously, lying, stealing, all of those weird scenarios to the point that I was like, this person doesn't even like me. But it was just also confusing because this person slowly started to transform into trying to be me, as in the way that she looked, the way that she did her makeup, the way that she dressed, mannerisms, even going on live and me saying my certain examples and stories and quotes and so on. She started stealing those same exact stories and things that I would say on live. So even like verbiage, I would say. And of course, friends, family, and so on. It was a living nightmare. This person just enjoyed making me feel less than, but again, it was confusing because she tried to look just like me and be like me. I finally said to myself, I do not care about any money. I do not care about social media. I do not care about any of this anymore. I could give it all up to have my sanity back. And that is when, of course, just like any other typical Mean Girls movie, that's when the person tried to retaliate, got mad, tried to flip the entire script on me, tried to turn everyone against me, said all sorts of different crazy stories, and convince others that I was the one that was doing this the entire time, that I was the problem. And meanwhile, the entire time, I was not speaking about this subject. I did not want to talk to anybody about what happened because it was just that traumatizing and I couldn't trust anybody. And everything was just, it was an interesting period. So it was definitely the classic Mean Girls movie in real life. And that's what the story time's all about. It is very entertaining and it's something that I feel like I could not believe that it actually happened to me because I only thought about these in movies, but it was like a real life thing. I am so glad that now I can share this experience with you guys because once upon a time it was a very touchy subject for me and it was not funny and it was something that I did not want to talk about and it was very traumatizing. So I did not like to even touch on the subject. That really is the main key factor that I did not really speak about so much on that TikTok, specifically because I didn't want to touch on that huge key nugget of the entire story. So now that you rewatch the TikTok, you might understand it a little bit more, especially after the story time. And again, this happened over a year ago, and I said, I don't care about money. And fast forward to today, I'm so glad that I did step away. I am in a much happier place. and I am able to, live in my little content creator house. I drive one of my dream cars, a Tesla. I get to continue doing what I love to do. I've been able to generate either the same or more money without that other attachment and without me having to pay a certain price for it. And all that just came from one day being courageous enough to walk away and not care about any of just any aesthetic things or any materialistic things, money, this, count followers, or none of it mattered. This is the intro to the story time. I hope that was a good background story before you get to the actual story, because you need to kind of understand why, if you came across this video, most likely you did see that viral TikTok about me selling my soul. So I just wanted to break down what was the price. But let's get into the story time. Okay, recording. Let's see how this goes, guys. Today's episode is going to be completely different. It's going to be more of the little laid back girly story time. I want to break down this one TikTok that I made that had went viral and still gets views till today, and how like I never really expanded on that. I never really went more in depth on like what I really meant, because even though the video, it speaks for itself, but it didn't touch on the actual reason why I popped up and was saying I sold my soul for social media. So disclaimer, that didn't really happen. The actual act of that was not a real thing. When I said that, I really did think that everyone would understand that it's a figure of speech, but apparently not. So what I really meant was what I was doing in my life that I didn't care to be doing, that I kept on doing, essentially for money. But it had to be on social media because that was like the main end. So I've been wanting to talk about this subject for such a long time, but it's so hard to really pack it together in like the series of events, because I already know how I am. It's gonna be like, as I'm talking, I'm gonna remember about something else and remember something else, and it's just, so I am just going to do my best at just keeping this into like a story time vibe where, if you were over my house right now, this is how I would be telling you this story, I guess. So bear with me, because I promise you there's so much value out of this story and so much tea. The tea is very hot, okay? So not only will you learn a lot of things you might prevent from ever doing these things, which is gonna save you lots of money, time, headache, heartache, everything, okay? Because this was a very traumatic period of time that I had once not spoke of, because that was like how I went through my healing process, was just like, let me just get into my little cave and just not even do anything about it really right now, or talk about it or think about it really, essentially. But anywho, so essentially, I keep saying essentially. So let me just relax real quick, because I'm just like, I don't even know where to start. But I guess we'll start with the type of person that I am, because I feel like that will play into the story itself. So the type of person that I am is, I am a very laid back, chill person, despite if I look like I may be, I don't know, like loud or chaotic or whatever, I don't know, but I really am just very laid back. And it takes a lot for someone to really get me mad, and it takes a lot for me to like stand up for myself, I guess I would say, because I'm just and I don't want to even say like stand up for myself, but maybe like take it to that next level. And I will say right now that another reason why it took so long with this story, just like telling anybody this story, was just like because it's really embarrassing. This whole entire series of events, it's so embarrassing. I already know from like the first couple minutes of me starting this story, you're gonna already be like, I would have, how could she, why did she, like, because all the red flags were there and I didn't look at them, and not that I didn't look at them, I didn't just like, okay, look, we're gonna continue the story. I'm not like a confrontational person. I would describe myself as a person where you can kind of like poke at me, right? And I'm just gonna be like, and then after a certain time, I'm gonna sit back and just be like, okay, hold on. Like, no, you're really going at it now. Like, we need to do something about this. Like, I'm gonna say something now. So it's not like I don't know how to defend myself. It's just I don't go 0 to 100 really quick or anything like that. I would say that I do go 0 to 100 because I stay quiet for so long, and then maybe that's why I should change that. You know what? Let me get into the story, because I feel like that we're gonna talk about the traits and all that as it's unraveling. You guys are gonna understand why I'm trying to describe the type of person that I am, so you understand the types of scenarios that I was and why I didn't react, and why it would look like I was weak in a way, even though I feel like I was. I think that's essentially what it was. I don't know. Okay, let's start off with the fact that the reason I said I sold myself for social media really was because I was showing up on social media for business with another particular person who I was in business with, and I did not want to be doing that. So by the time, we had branded together, I was just like, I was already over it. I had already seen the red flags, but we were, a fresh face on TikTok in particular, not really on Instagram. I had been already on Instagram for a while. It was like our faces were branded together in a sense, and this person did not like me, even though they never really admitted it. The vibes and the story times are coming, okay? And I always knew it. I always knew that I was like, this girl don't like me, and she's all right. So that's that. And bear with me, guys. I know this is not the best story time. I know it's not the best story time, because I'm just like trying to like explain my story without it being like, I don't want to victimize myself. Basically, I don't want to be like, oh, please feel sorry for me, because that's the last thing I really actually like. It's okay. This is just straight up story time. So anywho, okay, so I have this business partner. Okay, cool. And let's go back to, where I was at before I even met this person. Before I even met her, I was already good. I was already known on Instagram. I was already been doing my thing for a couple years at that point. I was already making more money. I made more money in my agency than bartending. Like, I was already in the very happy phase of my life where I was even living alone, and I was just so happy, which, if you know me, I hate being alone, because I like to just be around people. But that's how happy I was. I was so good in life. And at that time, I was just focused on myself, my business, and really, really, really felt so good with life. And okay, and then so I meet this person who eventually was my business partner at a event, but like I don't even remember her face at all. Like, I don't remember. And then, but it was just like this common person, I guess, like common on both sides, like a common factor or whatever, that reiterated it back into my head, like, hey, this person, you guys should like really be friends or whatever. He just kept going at it. I'm like, okay. So one day I reached out to her, and at that time, this is when I was like, my hustle mode was like through the roof. So everybody to me was like a lead. And I was like, you know what? Let me add her. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. I had seen that she had like only a couple hundred followers. So I was like, at that time, I was putting people, I was doing like Instagram automation stuff. So like to grow accounts. So I just had asked her, basically I had asked her to go get on a call, I would say, something around those lines. So point is that I had confronted her like a potential client, what the weird part is, which this would then go into understanding like later on, this part of the story like just was never shared later on how we met, because she never really wanted to tell people that she was my client first, and she made it she twisted this whole story into like me being like almost like a fangirl of trying to be her friend. Whenever we explain this story to people, and again, this will make more sense once I start getting more in depth, But so that's the real story on how we actually met, was just like literally I was trying to sell her some service, which she eventually did purchase. And then we did go back and forth having some type of friendship, but it was, you know, it was whatever. And then it developed into a business, whatever. How it really started was I had an extra room in Vegas, and I had told her at one point, like, oh, you could move in with me if you want, whatever. And she basically said no. And then she's like, no, I don't know, like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, whatever. A couple months passed by. And then she's like saying, oh, you know, something about her parents and this and that. And I'm like, okay. So she's like, oh, I want to move in. And I at that point, I was in Vegas, which basically I'm from Florida. Yeah, I was living by myself, like literally. So I was in this very vulnerable like stage of my entrepreneurship career where I really wanted a like business bestie, was like romanticizing that concept. It didn't have to be her. It just needed to be like anybody with the drive. And at that point, I thought she had the same drive as me. Later on found out, no. This was all, but anywho, point is, I like literally bought my ticket to go and help her move because she was in a different state. Bought the ticket, went over there, drove most of the time too. And then, you know, she moves in. And this is where it gets very interesting. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. So she moves. In less than 48 hours, we already had our first weird scenario, I would say. The weird scenario was basically, we went to like this bar area, lounge thing, whatever, and there was this guy, and she starts talking to that guy. She asked him a question because he was so tall, and she was like, oh my god, you're so tall, how tall are you, or something like that. And so I'm sitting this way, and so she's sitting right here, and the guy's right here. So but they're talking like this, right? And I'm just like looking at her, looking back, blah blah blah. And then like he shifts this way, and then whatever. So now he's looking at me and her because she's right next to me. Then we get up, we sit down, we go to this other area, we sit down. He has all his friends around or whatever, his little entourage of people, and he sits not next to me, like right here, but like next, like right here. And again, she's right there. Okay, so any guy is always gonna choose whatever girl he wants to give more energy to, and it's like, guys, they're like this, they're like, they can tell in a couple seconds who out of the girl group or clique or whatever duo he wants to, you know, he wants. I've never been a type of person or woman that like competes for that attention or something like that. And if you know me, I'm really not like a flirty type of person anyways, if I don't like a guy, obviously. But like if we're in just like a neutral setting and whatever, I'm not like, oh my god, like I don't know, I'm just not like that. Of course, when there's a guy, I'm more on like that dark feminine energy instead of like the lighter like feminine energy. So I'm just like, you know, I'm more, well, flirting is just different, right? But it's not like this, like, oh my god, look at me, blah blah. Definitely not fighting for attention or anything like that. So we're all talking, okay? So that means everyone has equal opportunity to speak, to interact, to do whatever they want to do, right? I thought the night was super normal because it's not like I talked over her. It's not like I talked more than her. It was like a normal thing. But then I found out later when we left, okay? So when we left, we got in the car, and I forgot what's the very first sentence she said, but like basically she was telling me that like something about like she was fighting over this man. And like this man is like, wasn't really my type. Like, and he was like, oh, because at the end of the night he did ask for my number in particular, right? I really didn't even have that much intentions of following up with this guy because we did end up finding out that he plays in the NBA and he was like this big NBA player. I just didn't know that prior. We didn't know that prior. And I really do think that that's what really got her mad, because she's like looking at this man like just money, you know, like just, which essentially plays into the rest of the story, which is just like using people, wanting people for their status, their money, their this, blah blah blah, right? So she just saw him as like an opportunity, I would say, but like she didn't get the opportunity because he wanted me instead. And I didn't even care for the guy. If anybody that knows me, and I don't say the following to be like cocky or anything like that, but I've been dating successful men or that come from rich families, whatever, since I was 15. So I have experienced leaving these guys on red all the time. Like, I do not care about how much money a guy makes or anything like that. And especially if he plays in the NBA, I have less desire to text him or to continue something, because come on. Move forward. I forgot what's the first sentence she said, but I remember I asked her to like basically reiterate, like, what are you talking about? And she goes, well, if Kim Kardashian, referring to me as Kim Kardashian, is in the room speaking, would anybody want to listen to anybody else? And I'm like, so are you telling me that I need to shut up? Like, if a guy asks me a question, I'm going to respond, or anybody. And like, it's not like I was over talking. And I remember just that moment just being so like, this is 2 days into her moving into my house, me helping her move from out of state. And oh my gosh, you know what? I already knew this was gonna happen. I completely forgot another story, which I'll finish this one and then go back to the time that she visited before she moved. Okay, so, but this is when I knew. I was like, oh, this girl is a boy crazy type of girl. Like, I'm over here like extremely unfazed. Like, from that day I never text that man. Like, I literally never text that man. And it's not even just because of her, because I already knew I didn't want to text that man. So I'm just not boy crazy. He wanted me, you know? So I'm just not a boy crazy type of girl. And what I learned is later on was just like, yeah, the boy crazy type of girls are just not it. Like, there's some underlying like something. Like, there's something not right with women that are too boy crazy, okay? Which reminds me of, now I need to go back to the story of before she even moved. So before she even moved in with me, she came on vacation. Mind you, the only reason she came on vacation was to see me speak. And in that event, I was the one that told the event host and convinced them to, oh, she can host the event. So then she comes, because I am always putting somebody on. Like, if you are in my circle, I am always going to bring you up in rooms that you're not. That saying that they say, whatever. I'm always trying to give and pour my resources, everything. So anywho, so then I go and say, oh, you know, she should host it, blah, blah. Yes, yeah, whatever. So she hosts the event technically, and then I am speaking at this event. So she stays with me. And then during that time, she had met my best friend, who I just so happened to have officially dated for a couple months in my life, but I've known him for years. He was my best friend, and we did that whole dating thing, and like, we shouldn't have, right? But essentially he was also my business partner, okay? So at that time, we had a photo booth business starting up. So it was a lot of things, a lot of different things that I'm attached to him with or whatever, right? And then he's chilling with us. I think we went to the casino. I don't know what it was. I think it was Halloween. I don't even know. But point is that she was drinking that night, and it doesn't even matter if she was drinking or not, but I remember her asking for approval to be able to mess with him or talk to him, or like, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, this girl's drunk. Like, I'm like, no. Like, in all three areas, because he's my business partner, which you're supposed, like, we were already started to be business partners, me and the other girl, her. I'm like, he's my other business partner, so I already don't need that drama in my life. He is my ex-boyfriend technically, and then he's my best friend too. So it's like, it's just a no for me. So that happened, and I think that was basically my very first red flag. That happened really quick. Like, mind you, she only stayed in my house for like a week for that vacation. And then a couple days later, a guy had flew in from LA to see me speak at that event. And I personally, I didn't know if he liked me or not. Like, I wasn't sure. Ooh. I didn't know if he liked me or not. Like, I wasn't really sure, you know, because I didn't really like him or anything like that. So he just, you know, LA to Vegas is not that far. So I was just thinking he's coming to support, blah, blah, blah. But then I started putting two and two together. I think, oh, I think he really likes me. Which is so dumb. This is so funny of me. Like, I always like forget that guys obviously don't do anything for women that they don't like. But okay, so I saw that, I noticed that, and or like he came for me for the event, right? And then he came over to my house just so, because we had other friends and we were like playing games or just like, you know, flirting with me, and he's obviously sitting next to me, and when he gets up, she sits next to me. And then I'm like, okay. And then so when he comes back from the bathroom, he's like, oh, you know, can you move? And then she's like, no, make me move. She's like just like, can you let this man, my place that he came for me, out of the freaking state to see me, can you move so he can sit down next to me? Like, and so I was getting a little annoyed, but then it got more embarrassing than annoying, because like she did it 3 times, like 3 times that he went to the bathroom. She did it. On the third time, I was like, all right, listen, like, now you're like actually embarrassing me because you look like you're a 13-year-old little girl. Like, yeah, it was, again, it was awkward, and like I didn't react too crazy because I didn't really like this guy either. Like, but I didn't know if I didn't like him at that moment. I'm still trying to figure it out. That was the second red flag. And then the third red flag was basically, I don't know if she left her DM open or I don't know what it was, but going back to referencing to the fact that, remember I said that my business back then was more of like the IG growth, automation, or giveaway, whatever, tools and type of agency. So I had let her in to my world and told her like my middleman and my peoples, you know, because this is my business partner, so I'm very trusting. And she had left her IG story or DM open. I don't know what it was, but I saw the literal proof, and I showed her. It was on her phone. I think the DM was open or something, where she literally got someone into a giveaway with my plug. It didn't even matter. Like, she did not know that we were official business partners already. And she didn't tell me. And it's a girl that I know too. So it's not like, so it was just everything. It's just like, you literally just did a whole transaction behind my back. And I don't remember if I discovered that in the vacation or the very beginning of her moving in, because it's all blurry now. But that was like a huge thing where I was like, I should have listened to all these red flags, because these were all for sure in the very, very, very beginning. And, you know, from being boy crazy to literally transaction behind your back. And so it was really weird. But for whatever reason, again, I don't know what I was thinking, just saying like, okay, whatever, it's all good, I guess. Like, I don't know why I didn't react more, and really be like, you know what, no, like, this is a little too much. I don't know. Okay, so now let's move forward. So that was the background story. So then going back to the story about the guy, blah, 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 the bar, the 2 days. So and that happens. And when that happens, I was like, oh my God, this is about to be a crazy roller coaster. Like, I think I made the wrong decision getting into business with this person. And I was like, this is going to be very interesting, because what is this? Like, this was very confrontational, and I'm just not that type of person. So after that, little by little, I started just seeing how much she overthought everything. And then her overthinking always had to do with someone else being in the wrong and being the bad person. Basically, like, even me speaking and saying certain things, which I'll say examples, but like just a general idea, is that like if I was the hater or if I was the person trying to do something wrong or be mean, and in like simultaneously she was looking more and more like me. Like it was real. It was, I had never felt so suffocated in my life. So this person, oh yeah, so the whole point of this too, so the whole point of this explanation is so you can look at the red flags. If you know anybody and you hear like these red flags and they're similar, whether you're in business with them or not, you should just not be their friend anymore, because it's not gonna get any better, I swear. How would I explain this? So she would put words or manipulate my words into making it seem like I'm the one with the problem or something. So for example, like if I thought that she looked nice a certain way, whatever, I'm like, oh, whatever, you look nice. But then if I would see her somewhere like in a different outfit and be like, oh my god, that looks so much better, then she'll be like, she'll manipulate it in a way where it's like, so the other outfit I wore wasn't cute and you didn't tell me? Like, did you want me to look ugly or stupid, or you look better than me? And I'm like I was so confused because like, no. Yeah, and then I started noticing she wanted to look more, she was like looking more and more like me, but at the same time was being so mean to me. And to the point that I remember one day I took a whiteboard and I went inside her room and I was like, I basically listed all the things that she has done to me to that point, and I said, please write to me, what have I done to you for you to be doing all these things to me and saying all these things and just like being mean essentially. And she was like, she finally broke it down that day because it was written out in her face. I was like, literally, please write the examples, okay? And I wish I would have taken a picture of that whiteboard. And then that was the day that she admitted to me that the reason why she was the way that she was with this very aggressive like undertone and just like mean was because she was insecure. Why was she insecure? Was because her boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend, I guess, like the most recent ex-boyfriend at that time, I guess he followed me on Instagram. I don't even know if he followed me or he just knew who I was, and he said some remark there that I can see why he should not have said that, but at the same time, don't punish me about how your person felt about me when I don't know who this man is. Like, so she asked me to block him. She ended up blocking him from my phone because I was like, okay, here, like, I don't really care. I'm again not attracted to this guy. You see how there's so many examples about guys? I was like, okay, whatever. And like, I thought at that moment that it was very mature of her to admit that she is insecure, but eventually I found out that like it didn't matter if she admitted it or not. Basically, like, it wasn't really an increase in maturity just because she admitted it. But that was the first time that she admitted that she was insecure, and I'm like, okay. And I broke down, I'm like, but I'm not doing anything to make you feel that way though. That's the thing, that like, I'm just existing and I'm not being mean to you. So it's like, why? On top of being in business with this person, I lived with her, and I noticed that this girl did not clean after herself in any way, shape, or form. And so I found myself not only getting essentially bullied by this person, but I was made into I turned into a maid. Like, I was just waking up an hour, like 2 hours early, because I actually went to the gym, and I would have to wake up extra early to go to the gym and clean the house, like every day, every single day, for months. It wasn't even until like a year and something later that she actually started cleaning, and it was still really rough. It was still like, it wasn't even clean, it was just washing the dishes, really, essentially. It wasn't anything else. But anyways, so I was over it, like, from the very beginning. Things took a plot, and like there was a huge plot twist because we had went viral on TikTok. When that happened, I was already like mentally checked out of this friendship, even though like a part of me was hoping that this was a phase she was going through in life, because she had said again something about like, oh, I was always the prettiest girl in my group or whatever, so I feel a little bit insecure. So I was like thinking this was a phase, because the more she's comfortable and sees that I'm nice, the more likely she'll be to just like not be as crazy. But it didn't get any better. So anywho, so when we went viral on TikTok, I was like, oh no, oh no. And I did explain that on that video. So I said that, I was like, once we went viral on TikTok, ugh, I knew it was gonna be rough. But it was also one of those friendships that are relationships where you are hoping for the best and you're like really wanting it to happen, like that person to become a better person and to be nice to you. And I know that as of right now, I keep pointing at her, right? Mind you, this whole time I am not bringing any beef to the table. I'm very nice. I'm still like biting my tongue. Okay, so at the end of this, or it does take a twist where I start standing up for myself, and yeah, that happened. You know, like I was like, what is your problem, right? But we haven't gotten to that phase yet. All this is still when she was just going at it, and I'm just like, if anything, I just looked at her like, is she for real? Is this for real? Because before her, like in my life, I've always had the same exact friends, so I don't do a lot of like the new friend, like random, like whatever, and like it was all new to me, and I just thought it was very interesting. So anywho, we would also go through like phases where she was actually like calmer. So like that would like, it's like that pulling in, pulling out, pulling in type of relationship where you think that person's changing, and then boom, they drop a bomb on you again. You're like, oh, and then you do it again. So that's why I felt like there was some type of hope, I guess, because of the pullback or whatever. And I really wanted to work out. And at this point, I'm invested into not really her and not only money, but I'm invested because of all like the eyes on the internet and being like, you give me hope, and that impact was so real that I'm just like, I felt like it was bigger than us, that I felt like I needed to stick this out because, you know, XYZ. Like this, the people, it's the people, they need us, or whatever, they need me to stick this through, you know? But I was just like in shock. I feel like each time she would just like, because mind you, it took me some time to understand that this girl was brand new to entrepreneurship. Like she only had her marketing agency thing for like a couple months. So you know, and like my credibility is what got us like everything, basically. Most of everything that we did, my credibility stemmed from it. I was the one that did all like the social media marketing stuff for years. I was the one that had, you know, like when we started on TikTok, I was doing all the silly things, and I was doing all the copy, and I was doing all like she would come through with trends. But even I would be like, okay, let's do this trend, and I would do the silly parts, which, yeah, that's what literally made us start getting viral videos, right? And just looking like a clown. I was like, I didn't care, whatever. And so the point is that like, I was allowing us to leverage a lot of my credibility when it even came to a lot of stuff in marketing materials. And I didn't care. I didn't care because she was my business partner, right? So it's like, that's what you're supposed to do, right? It's like leverage the experience, because at least one of us went through these real experiences. And then I had given her every resource under the book, everybody I knew, She knew. I introduced them. She was put on to a whole different life. You know, I was already in the entrepreneurship space. I was known. I was, you know, I knew all my friends were already in the 1%, you know, one figure, haha. Yeah, and like even with guys, I didn't feel insecure. She has been on so many, she's third wheeled so many of my dates because I was like, oh, we're going to dinner. We're going to dinner. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, just come through. We're going on this, whatever. Like, it was just, I always was like, come through. And that's how I was with any of my friends really in my life, all my life. So, which is funny because I'll tell you towards the ending of the story, should I say that now? Yeah, I'm gonna say it now so then you guys can stick around to make sure you guys stick for that part. But essentially she tried to flip the entire story as if I was the one that was insecure. Crazy. Back to literally putting onto her, like allowing her to meet any guy that I ever spoke to or dated or whatever because it didn't really matter. I was not insecure. Yeah, and I remember her saying something about like her bringing it up to the therapist, me up to the therapist too. Like I guess her trying to figure out why she's so mean to me. Like I don't know. Maybe that could have been a tactic just to keep me like, oh, she's working on herself or something. Because I had told her, I'm like, girl, you need to work on that because what's happening? But yeah, it felt like I was never good. Like there was a period of time that she felt like this woman was very egoistic, I would say. Like she was very prideful. She always wanted to be better than. She had this competition going that didn't even exist. No one was needing to compete. And I would tell her that, and then she would think that I'm saying this like in a way like, I don't see you as competition. Like in a sassy way. And I'm like literally trying to say it in a nice way, like as in like, just relax. Like there's no competition here, you know? But no, of course not. She did not see it like that. Or she didn't see how I said it would be like that. I don't know. And I could say it just like this, like very nice, and there's somehow, some way, those words are gonna be flipped and manipulated. So anywho, so there was a phase where she was like, you know, I feel like I'm just your assistant. And I'm like, okay, well, then how about you take on more work and then you tell me what to do. And then so like literally a couple weeks later she's like, I feel like I'm doing everything, and oh no, I feel like you always ask me what you need to be doing, you should know what to do, blah blah blah, all this stuff. And I'm like, did we not just agree that you would take the lead and that I would literally ask you like, what do I need to do? You know, like we said that, right? So I was like, I don't know what makes you happy. And that's the main key factor to this whole story, is that like I started noticing that it didn't matter if I did literally exactly what she said or said something nice, or it didn't matter what I did. She just didn't like me. And that's all, because it just didn't matter. I did this, she said she wanted this, I did that, problem. This, did it, problem. And I'm like, what do you want from me? Okay, so then this is where for sure it was feeling like I was selling my soul right here already, right? But let me back it up. So I had gotten so over living with her already, and I'm telling you, this was just only the first couple months. Like I'm like exhausted at this point, that this is when COVID was happening. So I had convinced my brothers to come visit me from Florida. This is the first time I ever even said a word about how I felt about her to anybody. So I had stayed quiet, and I told my brothers, like, listen, I think the girl that I'm living with is a little crazy. And I'm like, I explained the whole story. I feel lonely. She's actually very mean to me and very manipulative and very just very everything. And then she's trying to look just like me. And I seen the transformation even on her like Instagram, like the before and after was ridiculous. Like all of a sudden she wanted to have like this vibe of like a sexual person, because that's what I had, and I was trying to get away from that vibe of having that. So it's like, you're not, it's just, and I know it sounds cocky to be like, she wants to be like me. If I could post her picture, you would see. If I could post the before and after too, you will see. And she even said it, like she even said that her sister said that she was looking more and more like me, and I guess it was like because she started doing her makeup like me as well, like everything. And at that time she liked a certain type of guy, even though she's like half of certain ethnicity. That ethnicity, I was attracted, like I had my phase of this type of guys during that time. And then even her friend had came in to visit. It was like, oh, since when have you liked those types of guys? And I was thinking the same thing, because I'm like, since I did, because before I got here, and even the guy that you made me block, a whole different type of guy. But it's okay, like I know your types can switch, but you know, it just started all adding up, you know, like all of these different phases. And again, I know I'm jumping around, it's just so much to tell. Okay, so another thing that I had noticed was like she likes to like just do whatever everyone else is doing. Like she has no uniqueness. She doesn't know how to be unique. She doesn't even know who herself is. That's why I think she's better with just like trends and knowing what everybody else likes. But it will never be like a unique idea that she had. So one day I remember writing on my story, I want to take a bath, a bubble bath, but I only had a stand-up shower there, and she had the stand-up shower, or like the bath, my bad. So she was able to, right? And then her other friend, which was, I was already known on Instagram, and then she had the YouTuber friend. So that's when at first I didn't think too much about it until like the very end of the story. You'll start understanding why I say this, where it's like she knows how to pick and choose people, I guess, and essentially try to use them. But anywho, so then that girl on her story said something about a crab royal, that she really wanted a crab royal or whatever, right? Why did this same day, I'm talking the same exact day, she went and took a bath, put it on her story, and then convinced me to go and like, so let's do the crab royal at home. But at that time I didn't see the other friend's story yet. Me and the friend posted that one day, and literally the same exact day she did the exact 2 activities on her story. And I thought that was so weird. I know it sounds like so basic, but it sounds so weird. That bath was the one and only time in the history of the 2 years that she ever posted a bath on her story. It was the same exact day that I was like, oh, I wish I had a tub so I could take a bath or whatever. And then the crab royal thing, it was just so weird. And I'm just like, and then she had told me about some high school story about some girl that had a very cute hoodie, and how her friend did, like she asked her where she got it, her friend didn't want to tell her, and how she ended up finding it somehow still and purchasing it and wearing it to school, and the girl was just so annoyed with her or something like that, which it is kind of like but at the same time I'm like, it just all started making sense, like a lot of the things. Back to my brothers. So I convinced my brothers to come visit me because I wanted to get away from, I wanted alone time, I guess, with them, like get away from her. Why did she tell me that her sister is coming? And then she chose the exact dates that my brothers were going to be there. So, like, meaning doing things all together. And I'm over here trying to escape her. And I was just like, because at that time she didn't know that like there was a period of time she didn't know that I already had caught on, like that she wasn't my friend really, or that she had something against me. Like she didn't know that yet, because I was still like, am I tripping? But like things were still adding up. So when that happened, I'm like, I was trying to get away from you. I wasn't trying to bond as a bigger family. And yeah, so then when my brothers left, basically I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to Florida. I got a one-way ticket to Florida. Like literally I had no desire to come back. I wanted to run away from this girl so bad, but something was like, oh, okay, again, this is where the selling my soul for social media kind of thing started coming into play, where it was about to be my birthday. We're gonna have to do something for my birthday because we're friends. That's how I sold my soul, because I was lying to the internet that this person was even my friend, that we're friends. We weren't friends. She did not like me. It was very clear to me. I hadn't said those words to her in her face yet as of that point, but the energy was there, and I didn't really need her to confirm it. I just needed, like, eventually I just needed that real push, which I eventually got, that real push to finally be like, girl, I'm gonna have to just keep moving forward by myself because I can't no longer do this. So anyway, so that's how I sold my social media money. Basically, the recap of my birthday was like our biggest viral video that we had created, and we had gained so many followers. Like, after that weekend, after my birthday weekend, that's when the TikTok really popped off. I knew that was just not good. Like, long term, I was like, oh my god, like now I'm really in here, you know, because remember, I had already sensed that this girl did not like me already. So when that happened, I'm like, this is harder to leave because of all the, you know, the more traction online, followers, money, everything is increasing, assets, like everything's just increasing. Of course, during that period of time, she was a little bit more relaxed because we're making so much money that I feel like her energy shifted as there was, like, money goes up and down. That's when she was like a little bit crazier, something like that. I don't know. I didn't necessarily want it to go back to Florida, but I knew, I mean, I didn't want to, I was in Florida because that's where my family was living, or that's where I grew up. And I knew that I didn't necessarily want it to go back to Vegas, yeah. But I had to because that's where I technically lived. So I went back, and then I told her, I was like, yeah, I want to move to Florida. And I meant more like away from you, and like, let's figure out how we could do this long distance. And she was like, oh, I want to move to Miami too, or something like that. And I'm like, at this point, she did know already that I was catching on to her, you know, not liking me. So I was just like, but then again, this is after we made so much money. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe do I have to live with her? Do I have to, you know, or is this business only going to be able to thrive together in the same place? And blah, blah, like, I don't know, you know? And, but at this point, right, so I'm just going to stop it right here. This is like before we go on this trip to the Middle East, basically. I had already seen so many red flags, like even just not even just being mean to me. I remember she had recorded a morning routine for TikTok, and that's when I was like, this girl is okay faking things. Which that in itself unravels a whole different conversation, which is still relevant to this one. That routine was a lie. And that's what got me more turned off. I was like, I fought with her to even wake up to do a meeting. I think it was 12, and I wanted to do it like at 10 or something like that, like decently early. And this girl would always go to, like, she'll wake up around 11, 12, and I'm like, oh, okay, wait, so why I'm sounding confused. So she would wake up very late, but then in the morning routine put like she woke up at like 6:30. Oh, you didn't? Oh, you don't? And at that time, okay, fast forward to now, I don't know what time she wakes up, okay? I can't tell you what time she wakes up. I can tell you at that time, she did not wake up at that time. That's for sure. And because I remember her saying like, oh, we need to do a day in life, morning routine, blah, blah. And I remember specifically saying, I don't want to do morning routine right now because I got no morning routine. My routine is to wake up, clean this kitchen, and then get to work. That's all I did every single time. Just prep for the day, get the coffee done, and then just work. Like, I don't have a routine, so I have to establish a routine to then tell people what's my morning routine. She even did her bed in the video. She never does her bed. Like, all sorts of different things. I'm like, bro, if you don't do it, you don't have to add that, you know? But essentially, she was on this, like, journey to just look like she was perfect, and she knew what she was, like, she was like a perfect entrepreneur or something. I don't know. And I started noticing that. Even the gym, at that time, she really did not go to the gym. And I'm like, that's probably the second time you ever stepped inside that gym. Why are you adding it to your routine? Anyway, so that's when I started noticing, like, okay, so she's mean to me, that's one thing. She's insecure, that's another thing. She is boy crazy, that's another thing. And then she lies to the internet. And then when we would go on live, she would just like, I don't know how to explain this, like going back to just like sounding like she knows it all. I remember someone asking about like stocks, and then I knew that she was not like a stocks person at all, and like her about to like answer, and I'm like nudging her, like elbowing her, and I'm like, I know you don't know anything about no damn stocks. I'm like, and I started noticing that like all these little tiny lies, or like these things that like constantly were trying to portray that she was a perfect person, were things that again, I'm like, these are burning red flames, like hot, like red flags that I still, it was still early enough for me to like, again, this is before we haven't like moved to Miami, so I didn't have to move in with her again in Miami, like, but again, I was like selling my soul for the money, for the business, for whatever, So when I told her about moving to Miami, I met like me. And then so she wanted to move too, but then she started making it into like, oh wait, no, let's back it up. Okay, then when she started making some videos, when she made a video for our platform, she had added like one of her Gucci purses, and I told her, I think this is a video for herself maybe actually, but I told her, I was like, girl, I don't want to be in that luxury algorithm thing, whatever, because I'm not trying to like continue to buy designer just to stay, just to keep my followers, because they started following me because of all these luxurious items that I really don't even care for. But each time we ended up doing something, which I'll develop that story over time, but that started early on too, where I was like, warning, like, don't, like, I think it was on hers, and I was just saying, please don't do that for us, or something along those lines, because, and I was like, please don't do that for us, because I don't want to be in that algorithm. But we'll get back to that one. So anywho, so she goes, well, if we're gonna spend X amount of money moving to Miami, then we need to spend X amount of money, for something that I want to do. And I'm like, you just finished saying you want to move to Miami. Like, moving to Miami costed like 25,000 or something like that. I don't even know. Or maybe a little bit less, actually. No, it was less. But point is that, like, I guess 15, 20 or something like that. $1,000. Because we're moving from Vegas, and like the era and how Miami is too. But the time frame was like COVID, where like there was no places, and it was just so annoying. But and then how Miami is, and whatever. Point is that it was a chunk of money, where it's like, you wanted to move to Miami too, so don't make this just on me, because if it was up to me, I would have just moved by myself. Anyway, so she's like, well, if we go there, then we have to go to Egypt, because I want to go to Egypt. And I'm like, not gonna lie, I really don't, like, I can wait for Egypt. I don't have any desires to go right now, you know? And I knew that was gonna cost a lot of money. So then we go to Egypt and Dubai. So we plan Egypt and Dubai, and I'm like, why? But then I was just super, like, what's that called? Like, passive? Or when you're like there's a word for when someone, like a teacher that's like a pushover, right? Something like that. I was like a pushover, where it was like, all right, I guess, but like, again, that was for social media, because I genuinely didn't want to go, because even our like relationship, friendship, whatever, business partnership, I don't know, was super already like toxic. It was already toxic. So the first day we got to Dubai, I was already crying. I was like, I don't even want to be here. Like, I didn't really enjoy it the way that I want to enjoy it. And that is kind of like the beginning of me trying to like have to enjoy life by myself. Like, even if it's mentally, like, I needed to just like, because I felt so fake being on the internet with her. I felt so, yeah, like I felt bad, because I'm like, I know this girl doesn't even like me. Like she would literally ask me questions and like not even listen to my responses. That was one of my biggest pet peeves with her. Like, she was just always in her world. And so it was just insane. Again, insane, because this is the same person that I put on. I helped move in. I helped, like, literally, even with cleaning the entire house. She never ever cleaned the entire house. Probably, and we'll fast forward to like the ending of us living together. That's when I told her I gave up on everything. Until the very end, I was basically cooking for her as well. It was just so much, and I just don't know why I don't know why I decided to go and do part 2 in Miami. I really just don't know. Another red flag that I looked over, that later on I started noticing, like, I should have paid attention more to that red flag, was I could never say a story and like not show her the Instagram. Like, I would always be like, you know, again, all my friends own a business, own this or whatever. Like, I was really known in the real life entrepreneurship space. So I would be like, oh yeah, my friend that owns this or that. And like, she'd always want to see their Instagram. Like, I don't understand that. Like, I do understand it now, because she just wanted to always know who's who. And like, essentially, I learned that she just likes to use people, clearly, if you didn't catch on by now. So I always thought that was weird, because I'm like, for a person that, like, she'll tell me, oh, I'm so private, but then whenever I say any sentence, she wants to know all the details. Okay, so I eventually learned that when you're a giver and you're dealing with a taker, who is most likely a manipulator, a liar, a cheater, everything, that's what they do. They know how to withhold information, but get all the information that they need from you. So I started catching on to that too, where it was like, it's kind of weird how like each time you say a story, I genuinely don't care about their Instagram or who we're talking about, whatever. But each time I say half a sentence, you want to know their Instagram, you want to know when it happened, you want to know this, all this backstory and all that, and I'm like, red flag. So when we go to Dubai, it was pretty chill, essentially. Like, I was crying at first, because I was just like, why am I here with her? You know, and then when we got to Egypt, I was crying again. I started noticing that, like, she just wanted people to think that she came from a rich family, which is so weird. But I wasn't the only one that noticed that. A lot of people have noticed that, that she portrays as if, you know, the very first time, like, she has spoken about it on the internet, that she used to live in a trailer, blah, 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 or no, like, in this very messed up area, whatever. And then I would say my story has nothing to do with how, you know, where I lived or anything like that, but I'm like, I would tell her, I'm like, why don't you just embrace that? Because after a certain period of time, she only said that at the very beginning, and then she never wanted to talk about it ever again, which is like to each their own. But then you want to pressure me into like putting my brand story out there, which is very vulnerable subjects, you know, that include very horrible things like abuse, physically, sexually, and whatever. So it's like I put my story out there, so you put your story out there. And I was always kind of like confused why she doesn't just go with her story, her real story, because like that's what makes her her, you know. And she would like be like, oh, I don't have any stories like you, whatever. And I'm like, that is your story, you choosing not to talk about it. I don't understand why, because maybe that's why you have to morph into other people, because you're neglecting who you are or whatever. And whatever point, it started just making me realize that like she just wants to just be whatever is trendy or whatever is it, like an it thing. Then after that trip, we basically came back and went back to, you know, living, or came back just to move to Miami. We stayed at my dad's house for a little bit while we were trying to look for a place in Miami, because that was like extremely hectic. And when I tell you, the way that she left my dad's house was ridiculous. So going back to the fact that she never cleaned after herself. At my dad's house, it's a 4-bedroom. She had her own room and bathroom because it was pretty big, and so I never walked in there. I never had to walk to her side of the house. And so we had stayed there a couple times because we would come to Orlando a couple times, whatever. And long story short, one day my dad got mad because he sent me a video, and it was the bathroom completely flipped upside down. It was just so bad. There was water, like water all over the counters, and the trash was so filled. There was trash outside of the trash, and there was hair all over the bathroom shower, and it was just so crazy. I was so embarrassed. And I had already seen how she would leave things around my dad's house too, and I would just like grab it and throw it away for her. But I'm just like, how do you live at this old age just living like that, so carelessly? Like, just, I know that she lives like that because I lived with her, but I meant like even in someone else's house, in parents' house, like that's crazy. Like if she ate like a granola bar, like, and she literally wouldn't even eat the whole thing. I'm telling you, like she literally did. I'm saying this example because she literally did it. She didn't eat the whole bar. She just put it on the counter and just kept walking. Throw the granola bar or whatever the bar was, throw it away. Like, clean up after yourself. And that was in my dad's house. Like, so imagine living with this person and then that same person being mean to you and essentially being a liar. Okay, so let's just fast forward. Again, guys, bear with me, and I love you for sticking this through, because I know that there's just so much to the story, but it just had to be said because there's no way to say this story perfect because there's just so much. Oh, going back to the things that she would say to me, like the way that I dressed. I am Hispanic. I'm a Latina, you know what I'm saying? Like, we are so used to tight pants, curvy, crop top. Like, that is our thing, like that. And I was fit, and I work out for a reason. I'm not, you know, like, anywho, right? So she was always like, oh, you know, like, you're going like that, like, just like those little statements, like just whatever, wear whatever you want to wear what you want to wear. Then I remember wearing like skinny jeans one time, and then she had the audacity to be like, are skinny jeans like still a thing? And I'm like, she's like, they're not like in trend right now, something like that. And I'm like, I know that you know that I don't care about any trends. You know that, right? Like, I dress how I dress, and I actually get a crap ton of people asking me where do I shop all the time. Just, that's not my niche, and that's not my, you know, so I don't send links and stuff like that. I know how to dress. I don't care if a whole bunch of 13-year-olds are saying that, like, skinny jeans are not in. Me at my old age already knows that whatever's not in today will be in the next 14 months or something like that. Like, things always literally get recycled. So I'm like, anyways. Then I remember her asking my cousin, which we haven't even got into that subject yet, about how she wanted to take over all of my people. But so she asked my cousin, because my cousin's in the fashion niche on TikTok or whatever, on social media, and but a whole different fact. Like, she has her, and even my cousin was like, yeah, I mean, they're a staple. They're like, you know, basically like evergreen, you know, like, it's skinny jeans are skinny jeans. Like, they're not gonna go anywhere. Maybe other jeans are trending right now, but like, it's just skinny jeans, you know. Validated what I was saying, basically, you know. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah. And I'm like, which she would do a lot. Like, I would say something and she'd be like, and then someone else, like, it could be a complete stranger, would say the same exact thing, and then she'd be like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm like, girl, you know, I told you the same thing. So again, going back to paying attention to, you know, if they just don't like you, that you said that statement or whatever the thing is. That was another thing that I noticed, was she just didn't care for anything I said, anything. I used to catch her lying so much about everything, about anything, about everything and anything and anything and everything. And I'd just be like, why are you lying? For example, we used to do mentorship calls, because she was supposed to be more of the back end system person. She was supposed to be in charge of scheduling the calls. And after a while, I'm like, bro, we need the calls. And then she was just like, oh, it's okay, like, they only paid this much, like, it's not that serious. And I'm like, it's literally that serious. And I'm like, that's when I started noticing, like, you're literally playing with my name. This was even before we left Miami, or went to leave for Miami. I was like, you're literally playing with my name, you know, like. And I, till today, I never had, like, I always held that against her, where it's like, why would you not care? Like, I just didn't. But again, the whole experience for me is, what I noticed was, she had never really seen money like that, and she never seen attention like that, and it just destroyed her as a person. I saw, like, whoa. And maybe I think the thing is that she had this little weirdness to her, like this little vibe to her anyways, because again, she was very hostile since the second day or even vacation, you know. She was boy crazy and weird in that sense. So she had something in her. It just got worse as more attention and more money became like involved in the situation. So anyway, so I was already mad at her for like the mentorship call thing. So I was like, and I'm like a part of the sales, so I'm like, okay, well, we need to stop telling people that there's mentorship calls if you're not going to be scheduling them, you know. And that was a huge fight with us on multiple occasions. You know, her degrading our community like that, and saying other things, and like making it seem like as if like whatever. And I'm just like, you don't even deserve these people. Like, you literally don't deserve this platform. You didn't deserve this opportunity. You don't even deserve me. Like, that's how I felt after, like, I started seeing all this truth come to light, really. So, and I say all this because I caught her in a lie later on. And like, basically, when we were offering like one-on-ones, she had done this act, which I already knew she was lying, because I already knew her. She lies about everything. Like, basically, if I didn't witness her mom calling her name, I would not have believed that her name was the name that she told me. That's the only reason I believe it. So everything else was just always exaggerated, always like said just to like try to like have, she always had an agenda, always something. Like, anyways, but point is that this one day she came out her room and she was like, oh my god, both my mentorship calls today canceled. And I'm like, the way that she did it, I was just, at that point I already knew her. Like, I was like, she did this whole act. She's like, yeah, what if she did this whole act? And I'm like, So I go and check myself, and I'm like, I DM, or I don't know if I DM or where I message them. Maybe I message them on Slack, I don't know. But like, of course I have this information, and as I DM them, and I'm like, hey, are you guys okay? Like, you know, like you canceled for today. And they were like, oh no, she canceled on us, or like on me, because it was 2 individual calls. So it's like, she canceled on me because XYZ, but whatever, it's okay. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I come back out and I'm like, so they canceled. Show me the message. Show me the message that they canceled. And then she's like, oh, you don't believe me? And I'm like, no, I don't. I really just don't. That's why I already checked. Oh, wait. All right, so let me go ahead. She was like, oh, you don't believe me? And I'm like, no. And in my head, I'm like, that's why I already checked, because I don't believe you anymore. Like, we're way past me trusting you and believing anything. Whatever. She was trying to avoid it. And I finally just confessed. I was like, okay, well, I already messaged them and I already know that you're the one that canceled. Why would you lie? Like, why would you do that? And then not only lie, but then you like did this full-on act of coming out of your room and like being like, oh my god, what a coincidence, you know? And I'm like, you don't see how that's like crazy? What was that about? That's that. And that's when I started getting even more mad, because it's like she was lying to people, not doing what had to be done, lying on the lives about knowing more than she even knows about, like all sorts of different things. The way that I could tell that she was confidently lying, like, listen, the money was real, but like a lot of the stuff was so fake. Like for me, on my part, the fake part was the friendship. Like that was fake. Not that I wanted it to be fake or whatever. It was like basically from the beginning, I wanted it to be a friendship, best like business bestie vibe. She knew from day one that she didn't like me. Like she knew that this was a fake ass friendship from day one. She knew, like there was no convincing me that she did not know that she was on here on a mission to use me, to honestly just literally suck the living soul out of me in throughout this entire process. Because I did a lot of reflecting looking back, and I'm like, wow, no wonder she would ask me, like, you know, I always talk to men that were successful. She's like, oh, how do you know him? How did you meet him? How did this and how did that? Like she was just always wanting to know information, always, you know, but never gave any resources, never gave anything up. Like that's so crazy. But yeah, I was like, nah. That's when I started like not wanting to even go on live with her, do any content with her. I don't want to be associated with this girl. The more I started seeing everything and everything, it just kept getting worse. Where to the point that like I saw her literally put a frozen dinner inside the microwave, put it on her plate, put it on her story as if she cooked it. I don't remember what the exact verbiage was, but it definitely said like something about her cooking this meal that was definitely like one of those TV dinner, frozen dinner things. And that's when I even started feeling bad. Like I was just like, oh my god, like I think she actually has something more serious going on. Like this is a real issue. Like because she doesn't even understand that that is psychotic behavior. Like literally. And yeah, so the more she would do all these things, the like less I would be able to even be around her. Towards the end of our lives, we would just be on live and I'd just be like, because I was just so over her just like speaking, like saying anything. Like you don't gotta be perfect. You know that, right? And so going back to the community stuff too, what I did not like about her was her calling followers fans. I never liked that, and I don't know why I don't like when people say fans, because it's like you're feeling yourself. Like supporters, even just say followers, but fans. And I could just see like she was really actually feeling herself, and like I just saw her morphing into like this, it was kind of like a reality show or a movie right in front of my face, where they actually thought that they were like more important because of followers. Oh, and then the whole mentorship call situation, I couldn't even take the calls by myself because she had this thing where she always thought that I was trying to make the community like me more. And I'm like, girl, I'm just trying to do the right thing. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and she did confess so many different times about her insecurity. I remember her saying, comparing us to like some YouTubers, like, oh, I just don't want us to end up like this. And I'm like, and that was in the very beginning too. I was like, well, she's already thinking about the end. And I feel like it's because like she knew she was crazy or something like that. And like basically other times she's like, you know, in every duo there's always gonna be like a prettier one. And like I just, you know, I always see that people give you more attention. And like even when we're on live or doing this, whatever, like people be like, what lipstick are you wearing, Shy? What, you know, whatever are you using, Shy? And like even in person I would notice too that people would come and more shift their energy towards talking to me. But like that's not my fault. Like I don't do anything out of the ordinary. I'm just sitting there or standing there. And that's probably why I gave her a little bit more of a leeway, because I felt bad because I did see it too. But again, am I doing anything to make these things, like all of this stuff occur? Literally no. Like I didn't do anything extra. So that year when we lived in Miami, I was just like still, I was happy at times because I spent so much time by myself, because I went harder in the gym. I was like the best body I ever had. Like that, I was just on it. I tried one time to go to the gym with her, and like I was like, you know what? No, like I need my time, and that was my time. That's why I was so freaking fit. Like I went to the gym freaking almost every day. Like it was crazy. Like twice a day I was doing workouts. Like it was so crazy because I just didn't want to be in the same house. And so I was really happy by myself. But once I was getting around her energy, I was like, so it got to a point where my hair started falling off, like literally. And it was because I felt so trapped, so stressed. Because mind you, until this moment, I'm still cleaning up after her. I'm still doing like all the bills. I had made sure that they were being paid. I was like on it. I was being overworked like crazy. And I would tell her like please, like I need help, you know. And that's when that this is like the beginning of the end, I would say, in a sense. Of course there's so much being left out, but this is the gist of it. Yeah, we went to this trip on San Diego, and it was pretty much really life-changing, or situational changing, I don't know, because my cousin had went too. And at that time, that's when my dad had sent me the video of how horrible she left my dad's bathroom and place. That's why I said it earlier. And I was just like, this is so disrespectful. I can't believe, like, so mentally I had decided already when I got back, I'm like, I'm not cleaning anymore. We need cleaners, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I don't know, but I'm not doing any more household stuff. I'm not cooking, blah, blah, blah. Like everything just was like, yeah, that was the beginning of the end for me. Like that's when I defined that period of time. I was so tired of just, at that point I was like, whew, I'd much rather be in a marriage getting cheated on than be in this horrible partnership where I am literally doing most of the business work, all of the housework, paying all the bills, and getting like bullied in the process. But at this point, thankfully, I finally had like stepped my ground and was like, what is your problem? Like, what is your problem? Because I was already so sick and tired of her. At this point, she was just trying to take over. She would try to look like me. This girl moved to Miami, try to be Spanish. Like, literally, like, it was like, and the thing is that, like, I wouldn't ever be against someone trying to learn Spanish because I don't care. But the fact that her in particular was doing the most, listening to like Spanish music, and like she's already trying to be like me, like look like me. And then when people would ask her what's her background, she would literally, instead of just saying what her background is, she would be like, well, most people think I'm Spanish or I'm a Latina. And like, that's not what they asked. They didn't ask you what do most people. I felt like this, like so suffocated in every single way. So she was just trying to take over. And then already my friends, like all of my friends, and then the boy area already, you already know that was crazy. And then family. So moving forward to the San Diego era, there was a day where me and my cousin had went to like this beautiful island or something like that. And when we came back, I had said, oh my god, it was so beautiful, like it was almost like unreal. And I think we said something about along the lines of like, you need to have a lot of money to live there or something like that. And she's like, oh, I'm gonna download this dating app and target that area. And I was just so over her using people or trying to use people. I said this statement, just being annoyed by her. I was just like, a dating app is like the clearance rack or something. I said something, and so we go back and forth. Like, I'm already over her, you know, like we're bickering. And I will say that that was my flaw, my bad thing, was like after I got tired of her, I was like super petty. Like all her lies, I would bring them up in front of people, like, oh, I would never buy crypto or something like that. And then the next day we meet some guy, he's like a crypto rich guy, and she's like, oh my god, I was thinking about buying crypto. I would like immediately just be like, oh really, that's crazy, because just yesterday you were saying you would never, you know, like I got petty like that because I was just over her lies and over her everything. So back to the island thing. So we are bickering back and forth about the dating app, something. I don't even remember exactly how it went down, but basically this woman had the audacity, mid-argument, look at my cousin, who she was already like literally kissing her ass. She's like, oh my god, this is so cute, oh my god. And it just was so annoying because I'm like, you treat me like shit, and if I tell you that that looks like shit, or if it looks cute, you disregard my whatever it is. You don't even ask me, first of all, and then second of all, I mean, at this point she doesn't even ask me, and then second of all, if I did give you feedback back, it wouldn't even matter because you don't care for my feedback or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, she's just not my friend, right? It was enemy vibes. So then, but then she's in my face like, oh my god, to my cousin, you know, and fangirling, like literally fangirling. And then so we're mid argument, and she goes and looks at my cousin, and she goes, right, I'm not gonna say the name, but right, and then she says my cousin's name, as in she was trying to make my cousin agree with her, arguing with me. When I tell you, my blood boiled. Like, I was like, I'm pretty sure every vein in my face was about to burst. Like, my cousins, to me, they're literally my, like, everything. They're my sister, brother, whatever. Like, all of my cousins, we grew up in around the same age group. Those were my best friends. Those are like, they're my people. Like, they're my freaking cousins, but like even closer, a distant cousin. And the fact that this girl was literally trying to put my cousin against me in front of my face, after she's a bully to me, a liar, try to take over my life, freaking boy crazy, and being weird, and being a liar. I will never get over the liar part. Doing all of these things, and me cleaning up after her, and like all the, like, I'm like, that was my breaking point. That was my breaking point. I could not even fathom the fact that, like, she really tried it. She really tried it. So yeah, and you know, I knew that trip changed everything for me mentally. I was just ready to, at that point, I'm like, this is where we can no longer, I don't trust this girl. Oh, and then after that, okay, 2 days later, I didn't talk to her for like 2 days, and we're in San Diego. We're just like not talking to each other. And 2 days later, we go out, and there was a guy there who I jokingly would be like, oh, he's so cute, but like he really isn't my type or whatever. But we had like this joke, but like I didn't tell him that I thought he was cute or anything like that, and we weren't actually flirting or anything like that. Like I don't know what it was, but I was going outside. We were in a lounge. I was going outside to bring my friend to her car, and I told her, hey, let's get an Uber. When I come back, like order the Uber in the meantime, so when I get back we just leave, you know, from walking my other friend. And when I get back, I see that she's just flirting up a storm with that guy, and I'm like, can you get the Uber? But this was after the cousin thing, so just remember that. So after the cousin thing, I'm just like already in my head thinking about the fact that this girl did this and that. She's a liar. Every single time I call her a liar, because it was towards the end, I would literally call her a liar to her face. I'm like, you are a liar. She's like, stop calling me that. Stop lying. It's very, very simple. If you want someone to stop calling you a liar, a cheater, a this or that, you need to stop lying and cheating and doing this and that. Like it's a simple formula. The point is that all of this started adding up, and I'm like, I clean after her. She treats me like crap. She secretly hates me, doesn't want to admit it. She just tried my life with my cousin, literally trying to take over me, my life, my body. I literally had to dye my hair to like have blonde highlights so I can look different from me. Like this girl literally wanted to look like me in every single way, shape, or form. I literally dyed my hair blonde so I can look different, so I can feel. And I never told this to her, of course, but like I knew that was the reason why I spent like well over $1,000 just to have this blonde hair, just so I can feel different. Because I'm like, this girl is literally morphing into me, which is crazy. Whatever. All right, so then I don't say anything. I'm just like, but then after a couple minutes, I'm like, all right, let's go for real, because we actually needed to wake up early, I believe, the next day or something. I think we were leaving the next day. I don't remember. Point is, let's go. But then on the way back, oh, okay. So then on the way back, I don't remember how the argument started, but we started this huge ass argument. And that's when I told her, I was like, I don't trust you in any area of my life. What just what happened with my cousin, like it was the cousin thing for me. Like that was so. My cousins, I would literally probably go to jail. You know, like I will do anything for my cousins. You know, so the fact that you crossed that line, like anything after that is just is bad. So anyway, so point is that like I went off on her. I was like, you don't clean up after yourself. I'm always cleaning for you. I'm always doing this. I don't trust you around anybody. I don't trust you with my stuff. I don't trust you with the business. There's so many things. Oh my god, I haven't even touched on that. So many things a part of the business. Again, like, mentorship was one aspect, but there was so many different elements that like she had to take care of and she didn't, and like, oh my god, it was just such a mess at all times. I was running around doing everything, so I was just going off like, yo, I don't trust you in any way, shape, or form. Like, you lie, you manipulate, you try to take over my life, you literally trying to put my own cousin against me in front of my yeah. It was, I would say that the cousin situation was the biggest thing to me. So when we got back, my hair started falling out. Like literally my hair started falling out. That's how stressed I was and so unfulfilled, soulless, like everything. Like I was done with life at that point. I felt trapped. I felt lonely at that point. Only my two brothers and my cousin now officially knew. I felt so like suffocated. The story, the back end story. It was just horrible. But thankfully, probably like a month or two after is when we basically went different ways, because of like the apartment itself, the place where we stayed, the lease was already up anyways, so it was like perfect timing in a way. And that's another beginning of the end, basically, because I was thinking, I was like, you know what, again, like little old dummy me, I'm like thinking always like benefit of the doubt, you know, I'm like, oh, maybe like if we live in different places, or like giving ourselves like that space, maybe things could get a little bit better, because this was around the holiday season, like, you know, good vibes, like, I don't know. And I think that this could be compared to a relationship, like a real, you know, relationship, because it is a lot the same, where you just keep with this hope or something, like, I don't know. And again, it wasn't really her necessarily, like I needed her. It was just like the concept of sharing a space together, a platform, or like it was just necessarily just being in business with a woman that like understood, or something like that, even though it was already proven that she was not that person. That's why it gets me so mad whenever I even say this story, because I feel so dumb every single time. So this is why I don't say, but whatever, it's very for educational purposes, because I'm telling you, I know I can't be the only one that experienced this, and she's not the only one out there doing these people dirty like this, because we haven't even really gotten into how she did me dirty yet. Like, all of this is like bare, like just like the bare minimum. When we split is when like all of the truth came out, people. Oh my god, like I'm so sorry, it's been so long. We split physically, not like actually partnership split or anything. And so she goes to Egypt and whatever. So the first couple weeks, I'm like, I was already dead with business. Like I was already like, for months now, I had already been begging her like, hey, can you please help me? And like in our 2 years of being in business, I literally asked her what she's doing less than 5 times. Like the question, hey, what are you working on? Just like that tone and everything, only like 5 or less times. From the very first time I ever asked her, she was like, I don't like to be micromanaged. Girl, if we're in a partnership, it is not crazy for me to ask, what are you working on? Because if you're the back-end system person, we never really had a project management system, like ever. Either one, you know what I'm saying? Like literally when you have a business, the only way you're gonna stay, you know, moving forward is have a project, CR, like a good project management system, whatever, or talk to each other, like, or both, you know. But like, so I couldn't even ask her what she was working on, because again, that would be me micromanaging her. Just like, again, if I did anything, I couldn't do anything extra for the community, because then that was me trying to want people to like me more than her. Like it was just so insane. But anyway, so months have gone by. So by the time we split during that holiday season, because of the lease ending, I was already super overworked, like super overworked. And I still said, whatever, you know, you're going to Egypt, you're going to be with your family, just bare minimum. Like basically all she had to do was get on one freaking call a week for our one-on-one TikTok coaching or whatever. One call a week is basically what she was doing. I was doing the sales calls, high ticket sales calls. It was $5,000 per person, closing those. I was doing the marketing to get the leads to close those. I was actually even working on the like the presentation, the slides, the this, also like literally it. And yeah, like doing the, still handling the TikTok. Like it was just so much. And I'm like, again, I'm already suffocated, because when we went like that San Diego era, when I had came back and my hair was falling out, that's when I had finally told her like, I'm not cooking anymore, I'm not cleaning anymore. I just didn't want to do anything anymore, kind of vibe. Like still work, yeah, but like any of that extra stuff, I'm like, no. Again, I'd rather be in a marriage with a guy that cheats on me, but at least is paying all my stuff and he's the provider, than me being the provider and then getting like completely trashed and bullied on top of that. I just need to cut this person loose, you know? Like, I knew it was time. Like, there was just, everything was, from the beginning, it should have been the end, you know? Like, it was just the dumbest thing. So anyways, fast forward. So I give her a couple weeks to, you know, do her thing in Egypt, whatever, and not like do much, as I'm like overcompensating, overdoing, over everything. Like, I just don't understand how I don't even get it myself, right? Like, how did I do that? But I did it. Then she's still like, she had said, oh, okay, so then basically there was some talks about her basically, oh, going back to like her not really telling me about her life because she was so private supposedly, but it's really because the type of person that she is. She's a taker, not a giver. Oh my god, she's a taker, not a giver. So that means she doesn't care to tell her private life, which is okay, but to an extent. But the fact that you're so private and then you like to get all the information from people, red flag. But anywho, so point is that I ended up finding out that she was not good with managing her money, which is not really me finding that out, because I thought that I wasn't good managing my money, and Lord did she teach me that I actually am not that bad. She had made us like spend so much money, and she was always trying to convince me like the Dubai and Egypt trip, when I was like, bro, if we're about to spend all this money on moving to Miami, like, let's relax, like we can't do both or whatever. Why are we spending $50,000-$60,000 or something like that in 1 month on moving, on trips, on this, on that, on even in that trip I had told her to stop speeding. We ended up getting $1,400 worth of tickets, and then my nice self still let us use the company money to pay for that, instead of like, okay, well, you're paying your $1,400, I'm getting paid out $1,400 is what I should have done. But no, again, me being nice, she went to waste. So I learned that she was not good with finances. I don't know why I thought she was good at finances at the very beginning of our partnership. It seemed like she was, because the loft that we had gotten, it was like double something, whatever, like a regular place, and it was still not that pricey at all. But so, and then she was so scared to get it, and I was the one that was like, girl, like, again, I maybe because I was already making good money online, so I was like, girl, this is nothing, blah blah blah, whatever. So the fact that she was like really hesitant to get that place, I feel like that's why I thought that she was so good with money or something. Point is that yeah, I kind of remembered something that I forgot to mention, was like going back to the whole social media thing, was like the way that she would make it seem like she came from a rich background. Basically, like, I remember one time, or like just like saying things that just, I don't even understand where she was going with it. Like, basically, when she got her license in Florida, she made it seem like she had never driven a car before, and like she never had a license before. Like, I forgot what were the exact words, but she was trying to come off as like one of those New York City like rich girls that always got driven around and like didn't get their license till like they were 30 something years old. And this is something that she would say over and over again, but I would just be like, you know, people could tell, like they could remember that you had a car, right? Like, you just didn't have a car in Florida, and you did have that car. Coincidentally, when I sold my car, literally like 2 weeks later, she sold her car. Like, this is how like to the T this girl was with doing anything that I did. Like, it was just so crazy. And so I was just like, why would you make it seem like you never had a car and never had a license when you've talked about and talked in your car? You know, I'm just like, I'm trying to understand. And it was like that New York City vibe. And yeah, so it was just very interesting how she would make things seem on social media when, and of course, she would make herself seem very, very nice and all, like, wasn't crazy, but she was absolutely like, sorry for hopping around. So basically, when we split, you know, the first couple weeks, you know, I was just, again, going, still at it, still going crazy, still like, it's still the holidays, and I'm like letting her do her thing, but like, I'm still like, okay, well, this girl's like. And so she, oh, okay, before we split up physically, she had said something about like owing people money or something along those lines, and like just owing money period. And like, okay, like I don't really care, that's fine, I don't know what you're doing with your money, but like, so she was just like, oh, I need like a side hustle type vibe. And I'm like, okay, whatever, like, but at the same time I'm like, what type of side hustle, you know? Because you're barely doing anything in this company. Like, what you like, what are you going to do that's not time consuming, that makes you money, that it, you know, is not going to take away from this, because you're already not giving much. So that was, it was starting to become a red flag. The point is that as we were separate, right, so when we were living together, she would love to argue, and me, I'm just like, I have the common sense to know that if two people are not seeing eye to eye, like, you're not really gonna get to a nice solution on that argument right then and there. Like, you're gonna need to just give it time and like walk away, breathe, blah blah blah, and come back, right? Like, no, she wanted to go and yell and whatever for an hour and something at a time, and go around in circles, say the same thing over and over again. It was just so toxic, waste our time that we could be, you know, generating income or just working on our business or be at peace, period. But no, that wasn't an option, right? So when we physically split, she still did the same thing, but on the phone. And I was like, oh my God, like, please don't. But yeah, so she would come up with an argument and like would have me hostage on the phone, basically, because when I hung up, she's like, you're so childish. And I'm like, you know what, a couple years ago I would agree that hanging up on anyone's face is childish, until I met a person like you. And I'm protecting my peace at this point. I'm not gonna be kept hostage on the phone for you to go in circles, argue about nothing, and then just be a bully, like a downright bully, you know? And so basically she had got to a point that in one of the arguments, she was like, I got a job. And I'm like, excuse me? You got a job? One, when she said that, I noticed that she said it out of aggression. So I was like, I wonder when she even got this job, because it sounds like she's only telling me because of the heat of the moment. So this whole time that I felt already like, what is this woman doing, you know? She could have had this job for a long time now, because it's probably going to be a remote job, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if it was a job or another client, whatever. Like, at this point, I didn't know much of all the dirty stuff that she had been doing. And so, or doing the stuff behind my back or whatnot. And I was like, you know what? I was like, so you got a job, and I'm like, what type of job? He's like, oh, doing what the same thing that I do with you. And I'm like, what do you do here? Like, I'm so confused at this point too, because at this point I don't even think she wanted to post on TikTok or anything. Like, she was doing nothing. Like, when I say nothing, I'm talking about she was doing nothing. And I was like, what are you doing? And then she's like, oh, I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, you can't even do whatever that is. You can't even do it here. So you expect to do this job, make whatever money that you owe, or whatever it is that you're trying to save up extra for, whatever. And the point is, what's crazy is that whatever amount of money, we easily could have made it in our business. She could have easily just put efforts inside this business and made more money, you know? Like, that's all. Like, I was running the show, and like, now, right now, a year and some change later, I make more money by myself than with her. How is that possible? Oh, because it was always possible, first of all. And then on top of that, I'm in a toxic free environment now, like completely toxic free at this point, and I don't have to split, you know. As far as right now, I don't have any partners right now. Well, I am starting a new business, but that's besides the point. With a partner, but that's another, you know, thing right now. Point is, she was giving up. She was giving up, right? But she wanted to do it in this very clever way where she would make her money and then have me still working on this so she could like leverage still making income over here for doing nothing, like literally nothing, you know? So I'm like, and then I was like, are you gonna tell our people that you got a job? Like, there's nothing against the job, you know, like I really don't care about that, but like, are you gonna be honest to the community? And then she said no. And I'm like, then no. Like, no, we're not moving forward. You know why? You already damaged my people's perception of me because of your lies. Even when I would tell her about like, hey, you should stop lying on social media, she'd be like, oh, what? And I'm like, you know, because I care because I'm also attached to you. She's like, you only care because of yourself. And I'm like, well, yeah, like who's gonna care about me? I care about the whole picture, plus specifically because of me. So if you lie, that's not fair for me to look like a liar because of you. Like, I don't know why that is such a crazy concept. Like, so that's something that a lot of people need to get out of this, is like that, remember, like this partnership is like it's just like a relationship, it's just like a marriage, it's just like anything that needs to be taken serious, because you are going to look like a part of the problem, a part of the everything, like you are a part of it. So her lying and her doing this and her doing that, I know it damaged some people's perception of me, or I looked like I was going along with this thing or whatever. And so when she got the job and I'm like, no, I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna go with any more lies. Like, I'm not doing this. If you can't tell the people that you got a job, then that is not my, like, whatever. And then that's just one thing. And then on top of that, it's the working of. So that means I have to overwork myself inside this business. And then I don't have another, you know, like stream of income or another like thing that I can, you know, be working on, because I'm so consumed with this thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're really trapping me into this thing. I might as well do this by myself. Like, I was doing this by myself. I gave you the opportunity to become partners a long time ago because I thought this was a partnership, not a one-sided thing. Okay, so after I said that, that got obviously more serious, because she's like, wait, what? Because she didn't expect for me to be like, okay, well, this business is over. Like, that's it. Like, I'm done. Like, this is it. You know, she really thought, like, again, she really thinks like the whole world really truly revolves around her. If her feelings are upset, then like everything needs to be like catered to her feelings and her this and her whatever. And I'm like, no, honey, like that's it. Like, I really don't like have any mercy for you anymore. At that point, I hadn't even caught her. I mean, at that point, the list was so long of so many things that she's done to me. She even ended up admitting that she told like my private information to a person that I didn't care for. So basically, that story was this one girl that when she came over, because she was going to talk about branding, she came over and she started talking about real estate drama, like real estate people. And I used to like date this guy that was known in the real estate space, and like, so she was talking about him in particular too. And I'm like, oh, I know, I see where we're going here. Like, she's over here trying to get information, because the topic was completely different. Like, where did we come out of nowhere? Like, this shifted, you know? And so basically I was like, why, you know? And I caught on, so I did not say a word about him or anything. I'm like, oh, that's crazy, like whatever. Like, I didn't give her what she wanted. Basically, if you are street smart, you know that some women will bring up subjects like manipulators, just like this girl. That's why they ended up being friends. I don't know if they still are, but it was crazy because she used to talk so much about her too. And then she ended up unfriending me like after this whole drama. And I'm like, if only she knew. Like, y'all are the same people. But anywho, so she started talking about that whole drama. And I already knew. I was like, oh, this girl just wants to get information out of me. Like, that's it. So, of course, I gave her no information. But a couple weeks later, then she goes and basically snitches on herself that she was talking about me to her. That same specific girl that I'm avoiding telling my personal business to. So she basically was like, oh, you know, so and so said that that guy talked to her friend once, and like the same thing happened. Like they ended up stopping talking for the same reason or something along those lines. I was just like, that's crazy, because that was the first time I met that girl, and I specifically went out my way to not tell her that story, and she would only know the story if you told her, because you're literally the only person that knows the story. So you sat there and you talked about my personal private life to someone that I literally already warned her. Like I'm not, like, the vibes were like very, you know, drama filled, like she wanted information, and you went ahead and you told her exactly what she wanted. Yeah. So did it surprise me? Really? Like, no. It surprised me that she didn't understand that she snitched on herself by saying that. But yeah, so I was like, okay. Anyways, after the whole I got a job thing, and I was like, okay, well, everything kind of went by fast, but let's just, like, I'm gonna try to sum it up, where after that, then it was kind of like weird, and I reached out to her and was like, well, we need to talk about how we're gonna separate things and blah blah blah. And so many things were happening behind my back that I didn't know, and like basically the entire time. So it wasn't until afterwards that I learned so much more of what happened. I reached out to her like, hey, like, what's up, and like, let's talk about this, like, how are we gonna do this? She wasn't prepared the first call. I gave her 3 different options. I said, she wasn't prepared the first call, then we did another call, and then she was just like, I'm keeping the TikTok. And that's it. That's all she was fighting for, by the way. That's how I know she only cares about followers, because she was only fighting for that. And like, if you're gonna fight for something, fight for the whole thing. Fight for the community and fight for the whole thing. Like, just was just so, like, I was like, this literally just is so you. Like, you don't even care about the actual business or the actual people, the community, their whatever. Like, you only cared about followers. The point is that that same day she tried to kick me out, and I was like, girl, we're handling this the right way. Like, just like, you know, we're breaking this down the right way. And that same day she tried to kick me out of the TikTok account 3 times. I'm sure this is a piece of the story she never told anybody. So she tried to kick me out 3 times, and then went on live from the account and was just like, oh, like, what should I do with this account? Should I change it into my personal, like, vlogging type of account? Saying a whole bunch of things. Like, I don't even want to like reiterate certain things because it was just so embarrassing. Like, I'm like, what is she doing? Posted a whole bunch of like TikToks on this account and was like, oh, when you're over people and blah blah and all this stuff, like stuff that was like not on brand at all, and but like doing silent jabs for sure. And then after that, again, this might be butchered up a little bit, we had a deal to do a TikTok course with basically, I would say, like a Tai Lopez of like the Middle East. So basically, like, he uses his face, he uses his marketing dollars and stuff, and he pushes courses with like experts. So we were gonna do the TikTok collaboration. So easily that's like 6 figures and up, like just that in itself. And so basically she writes to me and she's like, yeah, you're no longer gonna be a part of this. She kicked me out of that, which was a business deal, which was legitimately the only deal, the only good thing that she ever had done for the company. Was this one guy, was that one, not even the one guy, because honestly, working with him and his agency put us in more debt because they were more of a burden than an ROI. But anywho, so yeah, so she was like, she hits me and she's like, you're no longer a part of the deal. And I'm like, so with the TikTok, with taking me out of that huge deal and then every single other thing, I'm like, oh hell no. That's when I basically lawyered up and I went immediately to Miami because I had a storage with her still. And I was like, you know, this girl's going crazy, so I might as well go get my stuff because like she's going a little crazy. So it's like, I don't even trust her, like, sharing anything with her. So mind you, when she was just like, I'm getting the TikTok, she had said something about like, oh, one of the loans, we only needed, I think, like $5,000 left. So she's like, oh, I paid it off. In the back of my head, I was like, you owe people money and you just got a job. Like, there's no way you paid this off. But like, I don't know. I was like, benefit of the doubt, I guess. I don't know. Because, you know, I personally had money in crypto, more money in crypto. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what she had going on, really, honestly. So, but I let it go. I was like, okay, well, you paid it off. That's your, like, that's your decision. I don't know why you did that, you know, because she was thinking if she paid that, like, if the whole business was going to be hers just because she did that. And I'm like, well, no, you decided to do that. Like, I didn't give you the yes, the go, or whatever, right? But then she hits me up 2 days before the last payment. So what really happened is she paid 50% of it. Okay, cool, that's fine. I understand that. Then I'll have to. But the 2 days prior to that was when she was going crazy and was like, oh, I'm taking you out of the deal, blah, 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 whatever. And that's when I drove immediately to Miami, because I'm like, oh, she's going a little crazy. Let me go get my stuff. So that, let's just say, I want to say that that was on a Tuesday, and then the money was owed on a Thursday. So the other $2,500, like, that's really not that much, you know. So $2,500, just to put that into perspective, it's $2,500. I go to Miami, and then so I have I'm getting my stuff, whatever. So that, let's just say that's on Tuesday. Then on the Wednesday morning, she hits me up, or she sends me the screenshot of her contacting the guy to ask if I paid yet, and I had not paid yet. She had just told me I am moving my stuff by myself too. Like, thankfully I had a cousin down there that helped me, but like, girl, paying this is not up top of my priority, and it's due tomorrow, you know. I have time. And so she hits me up, whatever. She asked the guy for the receipt. She sends me the screenshot, and it says something about a receipt, her receipt. And so whatever. Then I go back. So I'm, at this point, I'm not really being like cordial with her. I'm just like, I'll pay it. And she was like, da 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 da. Oh, something about the credit. Like, oh, I just care about my credit and all this stuff. I'm like, girl, first of all, I am legitimately, I've been doing this for my entire life, paying bills, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's much younger than me, which I don't say often because it doesn't really matter, but she had this thing that just because I was older, like, she had this obsession with, I think that's why she had this obsession with proving that she knows more or something. Like, I don't even know, but like, I had more life experience in general, and it's just like, she didn't like that. Like, I don't know what it was. That's why I was never able to like show that I've been doing this much longer than her, social media marketing. Like, she would always like be like, oh, like, even till today, like, she makes it like equal, even though I know for a fact she just started when, like, because that was one of my flaws, where I'm like, I should have freaking vetted her to see, because I learned after the fact that like she was brand new. So I like really put her on, you know. Again, she only had a couple hundred followers when I had first, you know, crossed paths, right? And whatever. So, and I only say that because I never said this. That's the whole point, because I would always dim the light on me to make sure that like she never felt some type of way. Because even though it is a real story, I did have so much more knowledge and track record, and a lot of the things that we used were my testimonies, were my results, were my experiences. When we said we invested 30K, 25K was from my stuff, you know what I'm saying? And the other 5K, I know she did a chargeback on that, so 0, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn near. So that's why I'm like, but I could never say these things because it would have been like, oh, I'm trying to be, you know, better than or whatever. And it's fine. It's okay. Like, I did not want to make her feel uncomfortable. I didn't want to make anyone want to feel uncomfortable, or like that, or that I'm trying to do that. But the fact that she, knowing that I don't even do that, treat me like it's as if I'm always walking and talking like in that manner. That was the weird part. Like, girl, you know I'm not even like that. You know I'm not even doing you like that. That's weird. But anyway, so point is that, okay, cool. So we're going back and forth, and I'm just like, I'll pay it. I'll pay it. Like, I was like just being petty because I'm like, I'm literally on my way to the storage to take care of my business right now. Like, I really am not about to like readjust my day for you. And then she's over here like, oh, my credit. Like, and I'm like, I literally helped her repair her credit. Like, I literally established the business credit for us, and helped start up the credit repair and stuff like that. And I'm like, and I was the one responsible for doing all the bills this entire time. So for you to come out of the left field and make it seem as if I am not the responsible one that like was the financial responsible person in this duo, like that's crazy. But okay. And I'm like, girl. And then so we go back and forth, whatever. And then so she goes, oh, if you don't have the money, just say that. LOL. I'll pay for it and you can pay me back. I'll pay for it and you can pay me back. And I'm going to insert the little text because that was probably the most iconic moment out of this entire thing. Because it really, really, like, I'm like, this girl's just so not a nice person. Like, she's just not a nice person. And so anyways, so it's like, first of all, don't try to make it seem like you're being nice. Second of all, why do you think that I don't have $2,500? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this girl has seen me close $5,000. Like, I just close like that. That's what, if there's anything that I know how to do, it's to make money. Like, that's what I know how to do, you know? So like me specifically, like every single high ticket client we ever had was me, the one selling it, the one that closed it. I was the one in the DMs. I was the one on the sales calls. Like, I don't know I don't know why she forgot that. Like, I am the money making machine. When I was the one that wanted to part ways, that's when the money decreased. You know, like every single thing goes back to like, you know, I know how to make money. So I don't know why you think like you're the one that didn't have the money and like you got a job, whatever the case may be. Like, I don't know what yours, I never asked her about the whole situation, but like, what was that? And even if I didn't have the money, like, don't make it seem like you're actually doing a nice favor. You're being nice about it. Like, LOL in an argument in that tone, and knowing you and knowing us and knowing like the scenario is not like an LOL, like a real one. It's a LOL, you know? So anyways, so I call the guy. So me, of course, at that point, I'm like, oh, this girl's trying me. So I call the guy. And he's like, hey, do you still want the receipt for your mom's credit card transaction? And I'm like, and I remember the text message asking for the receipt. That's what she had asked him for. And I'm like, my mom? Okay. All right. Let me find out if we still need that receipt. So I text her back and I'm like, hey, do you still need the text message for your mom's credit card transaction? And like, I don't remember word for word what she said, but I'm going to add the screenshots here after. I'm like not even trying to look through all that right now. But it was something along the lines of like, why does it matter? Who paid for me? And I'm just kind of like, it doesn't matter. That's the whole point, that I didn't care. You made it my business when you said this statement and you tried to belittle me in the process, which is exactly what you're constantly always trying to do. Make it seem like I'm the crazy one for, like, you see how this shifted, like I'm the crazy one for, or I'm the messed up person because I'm like trying to joke around about her mom paying, which I'm not joking around about it. I'm literally saying more like, you got caught because you said this as in you were gonna pay for me. You don't even have the money to pay for yourself. Why are you offering money that you don't even have? Okay, and then your mom, well, you're offering your mom's money. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I paid for my own stuff. And if I remember correctly, I'm gonna look back later on, like if I remember correctly, she even tried to bash me and be like, oh, just because your parents won't pay anything for you. I don't know if it was this time or another time that she said that, but she definitely did hit me like that one time. It was like, just because your parents don't help you doesn't mean that, like, you know, mine can't help me, or something along those lines. Like something like just trying to bash me that my parents don't help me, which is whatever. I'm like, I don't like that. You thought that was gonna like hurt my heart, like hurt me? Like, that didn't hurt me. Like, that's just very narcissistic thing to do, where it's like, oh, I got caught, oh my god, what do I do? Oh my god, I have to stab somebody with my words now because you know, make them feel like crap because I don't even know what to say. I got caught, you know? So it's like, no, you were just trying to belittle me and you are not a nice person. Like, that's what I'm trying to help you realize Or if you don't realize, you don't realize it, whatever. But point is, that's the problem. The problem is that you fake that you're nice and you're really not, okay? And so whatever, after that, you could tell that she definitely felt embarrassed, because she had to have, because she finally backed off. Like every single day before that, she was just like going off on me on text message and just very hostile, whatever. And finally after that, like it just like slowed down, and it's probably because she felt stupid. Yeah, and then so basically I got a lawyer, you know, every single thing that she did, she literally said that I did to her. And it was so crazy to me, because I'm like, there's no way. Thankfully, so many people reached out to me, so many screenshots, so many phone calls, because she would snitch on herself. Like she obviously doesn't know. Like she was just telling everybody, like once and then like before we split up too, like I had unfollowed her already, and she's like, what are people on social media gonna say? And I'm like, I don't care what people on social media are gonna say. Like you're not healthy. Like you're not a healthy attribute to my life. Like you literally drive me insane, like crazy. I didn't even want to see her name on my phone anymore. You drive me insane. Like I don't want to follow you on social media, and I don't care. No one's checking that. Like, and if anybody is, then whatever. Like, I don't even care. I just felt like I was like in this never-ending high school drama thing that like I never really felt like I didn't even experience this level of drama like even in high school. You know, like take away the business stuff, like just like the drama side, like friendship stuff. Like even that was just like, what is this? So after that, I learned so many things. She had been trying to apply for jobs or clients, whatever, for months and months prior. So like that's why the energy was not there at all. Like she was just doing her own thing. She was trying to exit, but she was trying to do it where she can double dip, where she could still make the income over here, take advantage of me. Then like some of the aftermath stuff was just like, I learned that basically people would hit her up about the course, and I guess she would probably like enroll them into the course, or like from what the screenshots that I received was basically getting paid for like trying to get paid to enroll people into the course behind my back, like taking money behind my back. So yeah, like just trying to like get people inside the course, and like she auto enrolls them or whatever, manually enrolls them by herself. And like even someone was like, oh, I reached out because I wanted both of you guys to talk, and she just wanted to do it. Basically she said that, you know, you were on vacation, and I'm like if Zoom calls don't exist, you know, she only wanted to get paid to like speak or whatever on that Zoom call or whatnot. 2 people specifically reached out because they were like, a part of the story that she had said said something about like, oh, that I was insecure, like me was insecure about her. And that was the point, that was basically the point of the story, that they knew that this had to be a lie, or that there was more to the story basically. Because, not to sound cocky or anything, but going back to the fact that she's the one that compared me to Kim Kardashian, which I wouldn't compare myself to her, but that's her own comparison, so we're gonna ride that. So that's that, right? So let's just say if I'm Kim, then she'd be like Chloe, you know? So it's like, it's kind of like Chloe busting out of nowhere and being like, yeah, Kim is jealous of me. And it's like, even if you like Kim or not, or like whatever, I think like common sense can detect that there's no way you can believe yourself, or like there's no way that is real. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, like it's just like that vibe where it's like my energy speaks for itself. Like I feel like I do have that energy where I'm not really a insecure phased type of woman. I don't know. And it's not to say I'm better than or whatever, but it is what it is. It's like the fact that she said she told someone else that I got jealous of her and her having friends. I'm like, girl, I don't care about you having friends. Like, I couldn't stand your presence. Like, she had this obsession with me being obsessed with her that it made no sense. So again, even going back to our origin story of how we became friends, and she would be like, yeah, like Shai was like, oh my god, like we should be friends, like get on the call, and she called me immediately, like blah blah blah. And I'm like, girl, I was trying to sell you. She hyped it up like if I was like, And I'm like, oh honey, like even if you believe that, that's crazy. Like I don't know if she believes it or not, but herself. But and then like the only thing about friends I ever warned her about was that one girl that I said that she ended up talking about my private life to her, was basically, yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't trust her really, because she came over here with all this drama and like I did not ask for, and like what was that about? That's it. Like when it came down to friends, I'm like, I'm not jealous of you at all, or you having friends. Like please have more friends. I was so focused on having my solo time, like just my own time. I truly like, I don't know, I don't even think I need to explain further. Like I was not caring about no friends. She also said that I stole like hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is insane to me that she would even say that. I'm like, I most definitely did not. Essentially, the lies just kept going. People just kept hitting me up, and I'm just like, and she just kept telling people information. Of course, a lot of lies, because we're dealing with this type of person, and I didn't care at first. I was just so like heartbroken in a way, because I was just like, I can't believe I literally spilled so much time, resources, everything into this girl, thinking that one day she would change, thinking that just I was with a lot of hope, and then I was like, and then I just was just so stuck to it working out. Like I was just so stuck with like the people, the community, and them. Like we can't fail in their eyes, because so many people were like, oh, you guys, you know, guys give me hope and whatever, and I'm like, I felt bad because I'm like, you guys don't know who she truly is, but I know who I am. And although of course, again, I said like my flaw was at the end being a little bit more petty, where I was ruthless. Whenever she said a lie in front of me, I was like, no you didn't, or you said this, or whatever, because I was just so over the lies. I really truly was. And I know I'm missing so much, but I'm like, it is just so much, guys. Like I'm like, I think I'm 3 hours deep. Like I'm literally 3 hours deep in this. But eventually, what ended up just letting us just was, she was responsible to do the IRS, the taxes, right? So she was responsible to do the taxes, and then come to find out, when we're bickering about the whole business stuff, whatever, I find out that the taxes were never done. And going back to what I was saying about like I couldn't even trust her with business stuff, like I always had to do my role plus have to be on her back for whatever role, whatever she had to do. I literally was on the phone and the IRS like, yeah, no taxes were ever done. That was a huge ordeal, and that's basically how I was able to just walk away from this. And I was like, this is crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like the one area you would think that you would hope that someone does right is the taxes, is anything with the IRS, right? And then come to find out that the stock basis, like it was very outweighed, meaning she, I guess, technically owed more of the company than me, and she was the point of contact. So do you think that was a coincidence? No, because not only did I bring so much more into this business in terms of intellectual property to begin with, and literally the furniture for our place, you know, all this stuff, I didn't calculate that. Like I didn't really care, you know, again, I don't really care, but it's like the fact that those were outweighed, and the only way that she was the one that approved it, you know, she was the point of contact. She approved these numbers not being 50-50. Everything in the partnership is 50-50. Why was this outweighed? I have no idea why it was outweighed. And so technically it looked like a 70-30, I think it was, or 60-40 split or something like that with the stock basis, because it's an S corp, or it was supposed to be an S corp or whatever, transition into S corp. So you have stocks in the company or whatnot, and so more equity in the company. So she did that behind my back too, and or you know, that's what the taxes reflect. That's what the taxes say. But the taxes got approved by her. So, and I know she noticed that it was not 50-50, and I never was able to see the taxes. So I knew that was like sneaky, because there was a reason why she never showed me the taxes. And yeah, it was very interesting because yeah, it was this big old thing where she definitely like was in this thing of like us failing as friends or whatever, like the YouTuber things that she was mentioning. And I feel like that's literally what happens with like even like women that accuse their man of cheating and the guy was never cheating, and then it just doesn't work out because he's so tired of that person thinking that way. I think that's exactly like something that happened like along those lines, where it's like she was always in her head about me thinking or saying that I'm superior when it was never even like a thing. I never even said that. Yes, I was older and had more experience and had more resources and had more intellectual property, had more, yes, but I never said that out loud. It was already just known. Like she knew this because of my story. She knew this because of my track record. I literally have real proof. And but I never said this like on lives and stuff like that, like especially when, you know, we were on TikTok, like people thought we were like on equal things where it's like we had the same track record or something like that. But in reality, like I've been doing this for years at that point. There was just so much going on, but essentially I felt like I sold my soul, not understanding how to exit, even though I knew this thing was so fake, this friendship was so fake, you know. And now apparently she's like talking on a subject that I'm like, what are you talking about? Who is listening to this person talking about this subject? If you, which is something about along the lines of femininity, which is, look at the name of this podcast, like seriously, and like high value women and all this stuff. And I'm like, what like what is the definition of that at this point? Because what I experienced, being a liar, a thief, a manipulator, insecure, all of these different, boy crazy, all of this, none of that is a high value woman. None of that is feminine. That is very manly. To be a manipulator, to be a liar, to be a cheater, that is masculine energy at its finest. To be a dirty person, you know, like not cleaning up after yourself, high value men and stuff like that, like since when? Like this probably started a couple months ago, because since when? I know who you were involved with to an extent, I guess, because who knows, you know? Like I'm not even gonna start on that subject, but point is, if you guys want any type of advice about femininity, yeah, you're more than welcome to follow me still. I always talked about like the soft life first, but then once it got overhyped and then she got on the train, I'm like, yeah, I'm not even gonna do that, but, or like continue, but whatever, it's okay. But point is that another feminine coach that you should be highly following is Michelle Diaz. I'll put her TikTok here because I really don't remember the exact name, but Michelle Diaz, you could tell she's authentic. You could tell she's been doing this. She's been doing it from birth, and that she's real and true to the subject and the niche, and like she really knows what she's talking about, like for real. Yeah, if anything, that's her blueprint, because that's all she knows how to do is copy paste things, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, reiterate. Like there is no authentic thing to her. You know, until today, I still get people, hitting me up like comparing. Saying like, oh, she's talking about feminine now, she's talking about high value women now, she's talking about whatever, like, and I don't look for her, I don't really like, these are just things that end up in my inbox, and that's how I knew all of this evidence that I got. Like I have so much evidence of what she has said about me and all this stuff. All of it got sent straight to my phone. Even the TikTok stuff, like the receipt thing, like that was literally God sending me all these signs that you did the right thing. People saying that, like, which I guess apparently I wore a red dress for like 2 years on my birthday, so beautiful by the way. But anyways, apparently this year she wore a red dress, because how do I know? A lot of people hit me up like, ooh, look at her, now she likes the red dress. Like, and she never understood that people can see right through like things, she never understood. And I tried to explain that to her about different things, not even just about just looking like me, exactly like me, and doing the exact same thing as me, but in general. And she just never like believed me or something like that. And I'm like, girl, people see right through like things, and I'm trying to help you out. Whatever, don't listen to me, because again, you're proving me right without me even talking first. You know, like I don't talk about this subject. I just decided to put up a camera today and just start talking about it because why not? There's a lot of lessons in here. There's a lot of things that like a lot of people need to like listen to. Like I think there's so much value in my story, and it is a good tea time. But like if any part of this story you feel like you went through a, like, or have a friendship like that, or a partnership or something like that, like run. The biggest takeaway is however someone is in their personal life, that's how they're going to be in business. So I didn't get the opportunity to like really know her for a long time before I let her move in, before this, and I saw the red flags. So of course I am the big dummy. But I am the big dummy in this situation, that's for sure. I did it to myself essentially, but you know, you live and you learn, and it's okay. There were temporary, you know, moments of happiness and cool, and this is like vibes or whatever. Most of those times were when I was by myself, but you know, it is what it is. Like it was an experience, and I felt so like dumb and embarrassed even after. So it even being on social media after, I would just felt so weird and so like I feel like after I just posting this video just because I need to like release so much feelings and so much I just need to release, then I feel like I can post again like normal. And I don't know, like I just felt like from the lies that I've seen, I don't even want to know what else is being said about me. You know, I have like literally so many screenshots of just like the random, there's no way that she's serious, but she's serious though, she's serious. And thank you for all those people that I don't even know that said, they'll literally be like, this sounded off, so I just wanted to go ahead and send this to you, blah blah, like that vibe. Thank you to you all, because you guys really helped me get through a period of time where like I knew I wasn't tripping, but like I learned more and more. Like I have no idea how much money she actually took behind my back, or attempted to, and actually took, because there's different scenarios that I've gotten screenshots of. So much that I got sent after that I was like, wow, I made the right decision. Even though at that time I knew that it was a hard thing to go through and pretty public, I noticed that like she went on a rampage of just trying to, you know, belittle my character, like just not belittle my character, like to like straight sabotage my character, and just like was on a spree of like, how many people can I, you know, or not like this, maybe like this, I don't know. Both actually. I know she was calling people, like she was on the phone talking to people, and she was texting people, because people called me too, you know, like it was just so crazy. She was on a spree to get as many people not to like me as possible, like for sure. And I'm like, is that how you heal? Like for me, I was healing in silence. Even people asking me, I wouldn't even respond. You know, like I don't need that satisfaction of like, oh, choose me or her. Because you know what? I knew that the type of person that she is, she was going to snitch on herself. Like I don't really even need to be like, you know, I don't even need to say that. Like even when we had this little court date thing, litigation thing, I do the same thing. I was like, she is literally snitching on herself left and right, trying to say that she didn't get into like the TikTok course, I didn't go through all this stuff. And I'm like, really? But yet the same day that same guy unfollowed me. She literally had people unfollow me, and meanwhile I'm over here like I was like protecting her name, I guess. I wasn't saying anything to anybody, you know. I stayed shut for a long time because it was nobody's business. But at the same time, I learned that also left the opportunity for, or like the room for people to create or for her and for other people to create the narrative, you know. So that wasn't like the smartest decision, because what it got me was probably people believing in whatever else crazy stuff she was saying. So that wasn't the best, so whatever. But I felt like at that moment it was like the most peaceful way, even though it was still super like whoa. More important than anything, I just felt so fake that at the fact that like I actually was engaged in this thing for so long that was so fake, this friendship, this facade, and I felt so bad about it because I do not move like her, and more people like her move, where it's like, if I gotta lie, I gotta lie. Like, I don't even care. Like, this girl would steal from stores for fun. Like, it would be like just like a candy, a lollipop, a hair scrunchie, this, that, like for fun. I can't even cheat on a person because I would literally snitch on myself. So that was another thing. Actually, the next thing was like the reason why it took so long to even like feel myself again, or I felt like no one would ever believe my story because I am a Puerto Rican lady, a Puerto Rican woman. So who is going to believe that I wasn't the problem? Literally nobody, you know, like unless you saw the proof. So my brothers, of course, they especially the one that worked for us, like he knew I wasn't the problem because he was there. It's like you would have to kind of experience something, or those people all that confronted me, you know, that was like, oh wow, now that you know, they're like, yeah, now I could tell you that this girl's scheming, you know. And so those people obviously was like, oh, I've been trying to or I've been wanting to tell you, you know. And voila. So some certain people, but essentially she looks so innocent on social media, or she portrays herself, she looks innocent, and then she portrays herself as being such a sweet such a sweet person, that like that drove me like over the edge. And definitely why I had to unfollow, because I'm like, you are not nice. Like, you're literally not nice. I hope that nobody has nowhere near the same experience. And if you work for Netflix, don't even try to take my story. If so, contact me, because if you think this story was good, this is not the full thing, and the story of my entire life, because this was just the beginning. So this was the beginning of the year last year, and after her, I went after everybody, basically. Anybody that, because the thing about me is I stay quiet and I let people punch me, basically, and, you know, not literally, but, you know, figuratively, just punch, and then I just do whatever. Like, I'm just like, okay, like, and then one day I'll be like, listen here, like my mom, my dad had it, but them, even years went past and I didn't say, like, I was like, whatever, you know. And so that's a whole nother episodes. Those are more episodes over there, but that was wild too. Like, I just went through the craziest year this year too, family wise. But it all stems from her, because after her I was like, you know what, I'm not going to allow people to stomp all over me anymore. Like, everybody that's stomping all over me and I'm just here quiet because I'd rather be at peace or whatever, like, that's over. Like, I'm done with that. And what drives me crazy is I look like I am the bad person, and it drives me insane, because I'm like, so I think that's why I don't react like what people would think that I react like, because I don't want that stereotype to really come to life. Like, I don't want it to be like, see, you are the crazy one. So I just mind my own business and just like, damn, you're crazy. That's crazy. Something like that. But, you know, sincerely sorry for anybody that's been following me for a while and actually kind of understands this a little bit more, because I don't expect people to know who I'm talking about, because obviously I didn't say any names. But the one thing that I wanted to get off my chest the most is, like, I am so sorry to the community that I lied on the internet, being in this beautiful friendship and bond that never existed. It did not exist. Even though that idea, the concept was so there, like, I really wanted it to happen, it was not there. And it took me so long for me to accept that. But I was like, this partnership and this person was sent from hell. Like, the devil sent this person. God did not place this person in my life, for sure. Because even if God did, then he was just testing me on, like, the sins, you know, the sin of greed. Because remember, like I said, right before she came in, my life was all good and dandy. Like, I was just so happy, you know. So that's why I'm like, I think the devil sent her, because it wasn't God. Like, why would he disturb my happiness? I was perfectly fine before that. I'm just like, but anyways, so huge apology to my community. Like, that's what been holding me, and I think that's why I haven't been able to, like, I think that's why I haven't been able to like be fully in social media since. Like I had fell back and then like UGC and other services, blah, blah, so then I didn't have to like always be on social media because I was so traumatized. But I felt so guilty too because I was like, yeah, this was fake. So that friendship was not even, no, you know? And like that perfect lifestyle was, yeah, the money was there, the travel was there, like all those things obviously happened to get the content, but like the happiness behind it for sure wasn't there. And then obviously if you really paid attention, you would understand that I was throwing a lot of clues out there that like, okay, this, you know, she's a little bit sad too, you know, like she's revealing that this is all not true happiness. Obviously with that one viral TikTok about selling my soul, that was for sure me trying to tell everybody like, listen, I messed up, blah, 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 but I didn't go in full depth yet. You know, I didn't say, you know, everything, but that was me saying like, I fell for this, I was peer pressured into this, whatever, but I still agreed. So I can't say, you know, I can't not take 100% responsibility, but like whatever. And then this, and then Miami, and then you know what, I'm back to being a little nature girl, a little hippie that I am anyways, and just being the chill person that I am essentially. Whoever, like, if you can feel this energy, you can feel this energy, then thank you, love you for even watching this entire video. I made this video more like for education, for story time that revolves around your life and your environment, how your environment can for so many reasons, because to talk my story time, to reconnect with my people, to be out there, to apologize, to show people that these types of people are in this world. I was dealing with this even though nobody knew. I felt suffocated. There is a bad side to social media. There is a bad side to making money. There is a bad side to this. Everything is not like social media, what it looks like on social media, not as happy as you are on social media. And then on top of that, your environment is key. This girl had me literally lifeless, soulless. My hair was falling out. I'm pretty sure I was like 3 shades lighter. I was white. I was pale. I was going back to being a mute. I did not want to talk. I didn't want to do anything except work out. I'm such a chill person, and I think that it's a good and a bad thing that like I just need to learn how to be a little more on guard instead of being a little bit, you know, a little too chill and then blowing up whenever, you know, I get to that point. Like I can't let it get to that point. That was my bad, right? So it's like I was quiet for months. I did not react to this girl. I was just getting poked at all the words manipulated. Oh, what do you mean? You mean this? Oh, are you trying to make me look bad? Because if I took a photo wrong and it was like blurry, or any hair was out the way, like if this was like right here, I don't know, where like you barely could see it in the moment or something like that, or maybe like this lighting right here, like I didn't even care about this lighting right here, but like she would have been like, why did you like not perfect that, whatever, in the moment, and like did you do that on purpose so then I wouldn't like the picture, so then I wouldn't post it? And I'm like, what? Like I never even thought of that until you just said it right now, you know? So it's like, so she just reminded me of a couple like family members that like I don't even talk to anymore because of these bad attributes. And I'm like, that's what pretty much got to me. Like I started adding everything up, piling it all up. And then, you know, at that time, my dad, I was at his house. Remember, I went to his house for the holidays. I had always had a room at my dad's house, and I learned that he was like going through a bankruptcy. So I was helping him with his bankruptcy, but my dad is also not the nicest person, but I'm his only child. So like, I kind of like have no choice but to help him, you know, like obviously from my heart. He barely knows English. So I've always been the one to help him too in the English aspect or whatever. And whatever. So the point is, I have my dad and his pressure and his bankruptcy and his craziness and his, like, he is essentially very rude. You add my mom to the mix, because again, remember, I went home for the holidays, so I was like more in the family stuff at that time, which temporarily at the very beginning it was fine. And then over time, I remember I just went through a day where all 3 of them had done something to me, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to literally check some of these people off my list, because I can only deal with one person at a time. Like I cannot deal with so many crazies at once. The first person I'm gonna choose not to deal with is gonna be the person I'm not related to, obviously. So it all just started aligning, where it all started making sense. And then once everything came to light and I got more and more screenshots and more confirmation that I made the right decision, I was happy with what I did, with like me stepping away from that partnership. And then on top of that, again, after the fact, still making either the same or more money, like that. What? You know, of course, for a while I was like lifeless. I was like, what just happened? Like, I was just kind of like in the clouds, especially again with social media or whatever. I wanted to express my experience or anything, but like everything was being used against me at that time too. She even sent people to watch my stories to talk about, like, if I talk about it. First of all, I know you have a fake account. Like, you're gonna watch my stories. If not, you already still are. Why are you sending other people when I know you have a fake account? Like, you just wanted to open that door up and start talking about the situation. But the thing is, at the end of the day, I don't have to fabricate anything. Your girl, I have a folder, a Google Drive folder filled of so many screenshots. I went straight legal mode, like screenshotting left and right to everything. Defamation case up like crazy. That woman went in on me in so many different ways. There's so many different people. So it's like, I just been chill again still, because from day one I've had my screenshots ready, and it just kept adding to it. Each time there's something new, I'm like, whoop, 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 upload. I can confidently say that I know I wasn't the problem. My problem was I stayed. I sold my soul. Not literally, guys, figuratively. And oh, and then the petty thing, like, just to stick, like, I should have just been out when things were getting that toxic, where we're both just like going back and forth talking crap basically. Yeah. And then, you know, sticking around, not really taking the red flags serious. The red flags are red. I don't know why. So if you, let me tell you, you can do it yourself. Do I still believe in business partners? Yes. I definitely have seen so many more business partners that are able to speak to each other after a business is done. It's normal. I've done it with other business partners too. It's a thing. Okay, so it takes a certain type of character to not be able to do that, which is something that I expressed, but of course, like, it takes two to be able to leave on good terms. You know, unfortunately, someone, I don't know if it out of their own impulse, or someone, it was in their ear, like, hey, kick her out of the TikTok account, hey, do this, hey, do that, hey, do that. And then, like, next thing you know it, she gave me all the rights to hire a lawyer and lawyer up and fight the battle, because if there's one thing about me, is I'm always going to hire a lawyer. I am always going to lawyer up. I'm not playing. I don't care. I don't really go back and forth. I'm not going back and forth. I'm going to send you the name and phone number of my lawyer, so your lawyer, or you, whoever wants to contact him, can talk to him. That's it. The fact that she tried to reverse the whole thing, like, this long, extensive list of things that she did to me that I supposedly did to her, is insane. But that is what had me quite traumatized for a while. I chose to react like Beyonce instead of Kanye. And again, as much as I wanted to react like Kanye, I did not. And that took a lot in me, okay? So you know, that was the main thing. I was like, I already, you know, this piece, there was a lot of war. I went through lots of wars to get to this level of peace, even before she entered my life, right? So that's why I was like, nope, I'm revisiting a person that I do not want to revisit. I'm getting a little closer to that person, and I need to step away, and I need to get out of this, because you are literally sucking the life out of me. Even this right now gets me so nervous, but I also have all these heated lights on, so I'm like, oh, it's hot in here. Like, she temporarily won that battle for sure. She won that battle. People like that, people that are deceiving, manipulators, liars, they always win. They always win. Temporarily though. I definitely think she's still gonna get whatever she wants out of life, you know, because she is going to talk her way into everything. anything and everything. There's something that I start noticing towards the end. Is like, I just got used. That's it. Like, she used me for all my time, resources, everything. She had an obsession with learning how to use people, literally, like how to manipulate people. She would read the books, the audios, all the whatever, all that podcast stuff, or whatever that was, on how to deceive people, literally, on how to use people, on those subjects, whatever. And she would even ask me, because she would see that I magnetize people, but I don't have a formula for this. That's the thing. And I even ended up telling her that. I was like, I don't have a formula. Like, this is just, it is what it is. Like, I think that I'm just probably so genuine and authentic, because just because someone has money doesn't mean that I don't be in there. I don't be like in there, how trying to finesse my whatever. I don't know. I just don't have a formula. And I think people just feel that vibe, and that's why people are attracted to me. But of course, I am not dumb. I also know the actual physical stuff does help, but like in general, like, I also feel like that, plus the mixture of like why I get respect in the process too, because not every pretty looking lady gets respected in the process. It's because of the way that I handle myself. I have that energy. Yeah, like, I don't want to be cocky, but I definitely walk into rooms and I magnetize people. And it's just the way that I walk, talk, the confidence, everything is just magnetizing. This is something that I developed, maybe I do want to say, because of bartending too. I was always a little bit of a like performer in a way, and an athlete, so I am used to just being like out there and like just always looking my best and having like a uniform on and putting things, boom, and like getting things done and speaking and like boundaries and whatever. So that's why I have so many successful friends, or friends in general, genuine people like that actually care for me, blah blah blah, whatever. There's no formula. I didn't have to read a book, and I kept replaying old conversations, but I'm like, man, this makes so much sense. And I would notice how she strategically asked people questions because she wants the answers to them. Like, for example, she saw some girl that she thought was talking to a guy that she used to talk to. So she's like, oh my God, you guys talk? You guys would be so cute. Like, oh my God, whatever, what, asking all these questions that essentially, like, making it seem like she's friendly. But essentially, like, she walked away and she was like, basically, telling me like, oh, I think that they're talking, like, oh, like, just like basically being in her feelings about them or whatever. So it's like, I just don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just straight up be like, y'all talking? Oh, I used to talk to him or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, I just wouldn't be like this like malicious on an agenda type of person to just make it seem like I'm being your friend and friendly, but I'm just trying to, understand these, these answers or whatever, like I'm just trying to get an answer out of you. I'm not built like that. But anyways, guys, at this point, I'm gonna wrap this up because I've been speaking forever and ever, and I hope that this, filmed correctly, because this was spur of the moment. I'm like, let me just do a venting. It's Friday night for me right now. So I'm like, let me just put the camera on and just talk about this and get this story out there for you guys. Anybody that's thinking about having a business partner, or just friendship in general, or just good to know, or just good tea time, I don't know. But point is that this was to educate people about other people that are in this world, because I swear on everything, I did not know that. I didn't know that people existed like this on earth before this interaction. The thing about crazy Latinas, whatever, and I hate to say that stereotype, but I'd much rather handle or be interacting with a crazy Latina, whatever, that is outwardly crazy than a person that is inwardly crazy. I don't know if that makes sense, but like the way that this person was like internal. It wasn't like yelling on her part like that or whatever. It was more like crazy silent jabs and manipulating words, and then lying, and then deceiving, and then backstabbing, and just stealing money, lying and just manipulating, like all that stuff. I remember she had admitted that she cheated on her boyfriend prior, which is why it's a very strict rule for me like now moving forward. This is my second friend that I know that cheated, that just ended up not being a good person. So I feel like that is definitely a big attribute to it. Like it's a part of it. Like you cannot trust somebody, because a cheater is a liar and a manipulator. Like they're all always going to be in the same ballpark, you know, and they're all always going to be like that in every aspect of their life anyways. So, you know, they're doing like that, something like that to someone romantically, they're gonna be doing that to you if you're not, especially if you're not in a romantic relationship. People like that exist, like the high school movies. They are here, they're walking amongst us. Okay, and you're probably following them on social media is the craziest part, and you have no idea because you think that they're very, very nice, because they always portray their life to be perfect and nice. It's scary out there. It's scary. So that's why I now I follow people that like I really feel that authentic vibe, and I'm just hoping that they are, because again I'm still in that little traumatized area where I'm like, I don't want no new friends, or like it's not gonna be the easiest to gain my trust again, I guess I would say. I don't know, but I hope you guys got lots of value out of this, and until next time, let me know if you like story times. I promise I don't think I'm ever gonna have one as long as this one ever again, but I didn't know how to condense it, and honestly I probably left out like probably a lot because there was just so much. Like there was just too much to cram, and yeah, and bye. And so yeah, so anyway, so if you're listening, I already forgot that my outro at this point. I'm just like, yeah, but it's been such a long thing on my mind, is it's like literally midnight right now. So comment down below if you ever experienced something like this, or any type of frenemy, or any other topics that I should be diving deep, more in depth, speaking about, or whatever experience you've had. Let me know down in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you're listening on audio, then add me on YouTube and see the visual and give me good ratings, and don't miss out on the next episode. All right, bye bye guys, good night, and I hope you enjoyed this.